distancing himself from this fervent woman who might sacrifice for mere lines of code. Minutes passed. The initial coding has been completed, and Xiao Ji has initiated the program for testing. Under the watchful gaze of everyone, the live-streaming phone trembled and ascended, swaying in midair as if intoxicated. A few seconds later, it descended, revealing the coding interface once again, with some sections still overwritten. During the second test flight, everything functioned perfectly, comparable to the previous propeller model, yet entirely silent. However, Xiao Ji appeared dissatisfied and proceeded to make a third modification. Following this alteration, the live-streaming phone, which had been lying quietly on the table, suddenly soared to eye level with the onlookers in the blink of an eye. It then executed a series of rapid maneuvers, tumbling, rolling, and spinning like an acrobat, each movement occurring within mere milliseconds. Subsequently, several faint arcs of electricity flickered from the back of the phone, and it vanished from sight in an instant. It was Lin Chen's keen perception that allowed him to catch sight of it just as it appeared at the factory's entrance. Several meters away, Jing Xiaoyu and her companions quickly turned to look as well. The live-streaming phone swayed momentarily before a nearly imperceptible shadow darted toward Lin Chen. It began to bounce playfully like a mischievous child, leaving the three women utterly astonished. Gu Feifei had previously joked about whether it was possible to create a flying saucer using anti-gravity soil. Was this not, indeed, a flying saucer? Lin Chen heard Xiao Ji's excited voice beside him. "Dad, I can protect you from bullets now." Lin Chen chuckled softly and reached out to touch the back of the live-streaming phone. He turned to the enraptured Gu Feifei and her companions, saying, "The task is accomplished. Thank you for your hard work." Chapter 357, The Invisible Duel. Unparalleled national scholar regaining their composure. Gu Feifei and the others quickly insisted that it was no trouble at all. Jing Xiaoyu, unable to hold back any longer, finally spoke up. "Lin Shun, could you ask Xiao Ji to provide me with a copy of the anti-gravity discharge control system?" She quickly added, "Rest assured, this system will be used solely for military purposes. I will definitely apply for a special reward from above, ensuring you are not at a loss." Her eyes brimmed with pleading. Gu Feifei and Ding Lan exchanged glances. Ding Lan explained earnestly, "Lin Shun, you may not have heard of the T-3 aircraft from the colorful flag nation?" Lin Shun paused, a triangular aircraft's image surfacing in his mind, and he inquired, "Is the image circulating online real? Has the colorful flag nation genuinely developed an anti-gravity aircraft?" Ding Lan nodded gravely, stating, "It is indeed true. In fact, while there was still debate online about the existence of this aircraft, we already knew that the colorful flag nation had dispatched such anti-gravity aircraft over 100 times under the cover of night to conduct various forms of reconnaissance within our airspace. Our fifth-generation fighter jets attempted to pursue the T-3 but were consistently unsuccessful. Its speed and maneuverability far surpass our capabilities, and it possesses the most advanced stealth system, completely exceeding the standards of this era. Our experts have analyzed it, and through special channels, we learned that the T-3's basic principle involves creating a magnetic field disruptor using an ion acceleration ring to generate a vortex that counteracts gravity, allowing for anti-gravity flight. All along, we have also been secretly researching our own anti-gravity aircraft. While we have made some progress, there remains a long road ahead before we can witness tangible results. However, the landscape has shifted, with anti-gravity soil combined with the control system developed by Xiao Ji and thermal fluid batteries. It won't be long before we can create a new anti-gravity aircraft that is both more cost-effective and significantly superior to the T-3. Upon hearing this, Lin Chen's expression shifted. Concurrently, Xiao Ji's voice chimed in. "Dad, what she said is accurate. I have seen a brief record of the T-3 in an official server of the colorful flag nation. It indeed operates on that principle. However, the cost of such an aircraft is exorbitant, each exceeding 500 million colorful knives, and its energy consumption is immense, necessitating the construction of large energy depots, thus lacking sufficient space for weaponry and currently being limited to reconnaissance. Furthermore, to prevent leaks, all T-3 related documents are secretly stored in underground nuclear facilities, and I cannot access them." Lin Chen nodded silently, and then remarked, "I can provide you with the control program. You should have a rough idea of the synthesis method for anti-gravity soil, so I want to elaborate further." He glanced at the last remaining bit of anti-gravity soil on the insulating tray. "You can take this small amount back for reference." The three women instantly displayed expressions of excitement. Lin Chen then requested a USB drive with a phone connector and plugged it into Xiao Ji's charging port. Xiao Ji swiftly exported the program files onto the USB drive. Ding Lan carefully accepted the USB drive, knowing that while this program could not be used directly with the capabilities of the High-Tech Institute, it would not take long to adapt it for the anti-gravity aircraft. Unbeknownst to him, Lin Chun had inadvertently developed the core technologies for the anti-gravity aircraft. If they could not produce it with this, the high-tech institute might as well disband. Lin Chun stretched lazily and said, "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." Upon hearing this, Gu Feifei and the others revealed expressions of reluctance. Although they had only spent one night together, it was a night that would surely etch itself into their memories, for they had truly witnessed the divine. The events of this night might even be inscribed in the annals of history. Returning with such fruitful results, they all knew they had accomplished something significant, and various high-level accolades were undoubtedly on the horizon. However, if given a choice, they would all unhesitatingly forego the readily available honors to remain beside Lin Chun, the great deity, thirsting for more knowledge. They simultaneously thought of Du Gao, who had truly missed a monumental opportunity, all for the sake of a mere academic title. Character determines destiny, and this moment illustrated it vividly. The three women respectfully escorted Lin Chun to the door. With a clang, the factory door swung open. The sky remained pitch black, and the frigid air surged into the factory. The courtyard was desolate. Yet, Lin Chun could keenly perceive that following the incident with Xiang Huayo, the security outside the courtyard had become at least twice as stringent as before. At the courtyard gate, a weary Li Yuan, upon hearing the commotion, hurried over. Lin Chun inquired, "Have they clarified everything regarding Xiang Huayo?" Li Yuan nodded solemnly, his gaze toward Lin Chun filled with reverence. Initially, he was defiant. But after a bit of coercion, he completely confessed. He is a spy from the colorful flag nation embedded within our ranks. This was his first mission. Gu Feifei and the others, upon hearing this, were moved, their expressions complex. In their recollection, Xiang Huayo was knowledgeable, generous, and always eager to mentor the younger generation. For instance, Gu Feifei would not have thought to fly over if not for Xiang Huayo's prior guidance, ultimately enabling her to join the team. It was unexpected that he turned out to be affiliated with the colorful flag nation. Li Yuan continued, "Additionally, we have captured 8 little mice." Upon hearing this, Lin Chun realized that the 8 spies previously sent to Zhong Wenzhou had been apprehended, and he nodded. "Thank you for your efforts." He then proceeded to exit. He did not inquire about how Ding Lan and the others would transport the equipment and data back, as the higher-ups would naturally find a way. Stepping out of the courtyard gate, Lin Chun immediately spotted Du Gao squatting beneath a tree, bundled in a coat, having stood there all night. The ground littered with cigarette butts. Upon seeing Lin Chun, he tossed away his cigarette and approached. "Xiang Academician, is it true that he is a spy?" Lin Chun remarked. "You should direct your inquiries to Nguisi." Du Gao scrutinized Lin Chun once more and inquired, after toiling all night, "What have you and Gu Feifei produced?" Lin Chun smiled subtly. "We have created everything." With that, he turned away from the astonished Du Gao and strode toward the hotel. Du Gao, fixated on Lin Chun's retreating figure, felt his expression shift and hastened toward the courtyard gate. Yet, before he could reach the entrance, he was abruptly blocked by a stout member of Nguisi, who declared, "This area is now a restricted zone. No one is permitted entry." Du Gao furrowed his brow and, suppressing his fury, retorted, "I am Du Gao from the Institute of Advanced Technology, one of the personnel involved in this mission. Why can't I enter?" The member of Nguisi replied with indifference, "Since you stepped out of this gate last night, you are no longer part of it." Du Gao's expression shifted dramatically, and he reached out to shove the man aside, exclaiming, "Step aside." However, the agent executed a swift maneuver, bringing Du Gao to the ground. As he cried out in pain and prepared to unleash his wrath, a sharp blade pressed against his carotid artery, sending a jolt of fear through him. The agent's calm voice pierced the air, "If you attempt to force your way in again, it will be considered treason, and I am authorized to execute you on the spot." With that, he sheathed the blade. Hearing these words, Du Gao, struggling to rise, felt a cold sweat envelop him, and his complexion drained of color. He glanced down to find red dots from sniper rifles aimed at critical points on his body. His breath hitched as he lifted his gaze to the courtyard gate, his mind racing with a singular thought. What terrifying creation had Lin Chun and Gu Feifei concocted to warrant such heightened vigilance from Nguisi? A profound sense of regret surged within him, his heart pricking with realization that leaving the courtyard in a huff last night may have been the gravest error of his life. Moments later, in the encroaching darkness, Lin Chun returned to the hotel. He glanced at the clock on the wall behind the reception desk. It was already 7 o'clock. He had indeed been busy the entire night. Just as he was about to ascend the stairs, his backup phone rang. Upon checking, he saw it was a call from Zhong Wenzhou. Once connected, Zhong Wenzhou's voice brimmed with barely contained envy. "Brother Lin, I don't know what remarkable thing you accomplished last night, but someone from above asked me to convey 2 messages to you. Lin Shen paused. What are the messages? Zhong Wenzhou took a deep breath and said, the first, a national hero, is unparalleled. The second, the state shall not neglect those who have rendered service. Lin Shen chuckled softly. I shall remember these words. He then ended the call, taking the elevator to the 4th floor. He retrieved his door card and was about to open the door when he noticed a small crack in the adjacent room's door, revealing a large eye bloodied around the edges, fixated upon him. Chapter 358, The Horrors of the Curse. Luo Xian faces trouble again. As Lin Shen locked eyes with the ominous gaze, his brow furrowed. Before he could speak, the owner of the eye, seemingly startled, quickly shut the door. Lin Shen stood bewildered. Had Shuer truly spent the entire night peering through the door? That eye was terrifyingly unsettling. Had Shuer transformed into a specter? Had he not sensed her presence beforehand, he might have been thoroughly frightened. Behind door 401, Shuer's heart raced, her expression a muddle of disappointment and discomfort. Casting a glance at the still sleeping Li Xiao, she murmured to herself, he truly stayed up all night. At that moment, Lin Shen arrived at the door of room 401 and knocked. Seconds later, the door opened, revealing a blushing Shuer, who appeared quite embarrassed. You're back? She asked. Lin Shen gazed at her in astonishment. Yes, but what were you doing peering through the door? Have you not slept all night? Shuer averted her gaze, avoiding his eyes, and whispered, perhaps because I drank, I couldn't fall asleep. She then raised her head and inquired, have you completed your tasks? Lin Shen nodded. Everything is finished. He thought for a moment, pulling out the modified live streaming phone he had worked on all night. Shuer's eyes widened with relief as she accepted the phone, her expression transforming into one of joy. Lin Shen, noticing her weariness, advised, you should rest. I will also take a nap. We shall depart after lunch today. Shuer responded with a soft agreement, her delicate demeanor eliciting sympathy from Lin Shen. He sighed inwardly, gently ruffling her hair before returning to his own room. Once inside, Lin Shen found no inclination to sleep. With his constitution, staying awake for a night posed no challenge, let alone 3 days. With little else to occupy his time, he clicked into Luo Xian's livestream. To his surprise, the woman was already up, in Dingkong City, before dawn, illuminated by the hotel courtyard lights. She was practicing martial arts in a corner, even broadcasting her training live. Her lithe figure moved with agility and grace, executing punches and kicks with precision, drawing a significant audience of millions. Lin Shen, not particularly versed in the martial arts of this world, found her movements captivating, reminiscent of exciting combat. The live chat overflowed with comments like beautiful, and Luo Goddess is incredible. After completing a sequence, Luo Xian stood under the streetlight, her hands resting on her lower abdomen, eyes closed, breathing rhythmically. Moments later, a remarkable sight unfolded. Steam began to emanate from her body, particularly pronounced under the light. The chat erupted with astonishment. Comments like, what is happening? And is she becoming a deity? Flooding the screen. Lin Shen raised an eyebrow, surprised at her unabashed display of what appeared to be advanced breathing techniques. Just then, Luo Xian suddenly gasped, her breath becoming erratic, her face contorting in pain. She opened her eyes wide, covering her mouth, yet blood escaped through her fingers. The viewers, witnessing this turn of events, were thrown into a frenzy, with comments like, what's wrong with the Luo Goddess? And is she experiencing a martial arts crisis? Lin Shen couldn't help but chuckle. It was evident she had overexerted herself, and the high-level curse was still in effect. Without concern for the dirt beneath her, Luo Xian sat cross-legged, her brow furrowed in concentration, attempting to stabilize her chaotic internal energy. However, mere seconds later, she succumbed to another bout of coughing, blood pouring from her nose and mouth. Before collapsing backward, unconscious and trembling, Lin Shen gasped in shock. Was this woman truly going to ruin herself through her training? The chat exploded in chaos, with many claiming to have called for medical assistance. As news of Luo Xian's predicament spread, viewers flooded her live stream, horrified by the sight of blood on her face. The comments raced by at a dizzying speed. Some exhibited nervousness and sympathy, while others resorted to ridicule and even schadenfreude. What on earth is this? Is her face smeared with ketchup? Practicing qigong to the point of spitting blood, why does this make me want to laugh? This is a brand new version I've never seen before. Even Luo Xian is faltering now, starting to play along with the script. This scene seems familiar. Is it now time for Yin Ping to cover Luo Xian's face with a veil? Whoever gifted Luo Xian 10 carnival tickets will surely see her spring back to her feet to express her gratitude. Online, it remains the same. Even though Luo Xian is a diva of the music industry, there are still those who choose to disparage her. Her fans promptly engaged in heated arguments with these detractors in the comments. At that moment, a man appeared on screen, crouching beside Luo Xian to assess the situation before promptly rising to make a phone call. He then approached the live streaming device and ended the broadcast, igniting further uproar in the comments section, with a multitude of opinions being expressed. Lin Chun deduced that this individual, based on his physique and demeanor, was likely responsible for monitoring Luo Xian on behalf of the Nguasi. Exiting Luo Xian's live stream, Lin Chun shifted his focus to the headlines. The first article that caught his eye was about Zheng Xiangnan being struck down by a sign at the entrance of the Wuxing Group, accompanied by pixelated images of the incident. According to the report, several of Zheng Xiangnan's vertebrae and pelvic bones, as well as his leg bones, had been completely shattered and would require amputation. He had already undergone surgery and was currently in the intensive care unit, still in critical condition. Nonetheless, this situation was considered a stroke of fortune amidst calamity. The investigative team from the Meta Kingdom concluded that the massive sign had fallen naturally, and its peculiar angle had struck Zheng Xiangnan in a manner that only affected the lower half of his body. Had it fallen differently, he would have likely faced immediate death. Consequently, the three father and son members of the Zheng family, Zheng Taiyu, Zheng Xianghe, and Zheng Xiangnan, found themselves in the same hospital. The Wuxing Group released an official statement appointing Zheng Peina, Zheng Taiyu's illegitimate daughter, merely 24 years of age, as the acting president during this crisis. Various media outlets in the Meta Kingdom began to speculate about Zheng Xiangnan's accident, questioning whether it was truly an accident at all. It was indeed suspicious that three presidents had encountered severe misfortune in such a short span of time, raising doubts about the legitimacy of these incidents. This subtly implied that Zheng Peina, who had long been disregarded by Zheng Taiyu, might be orchestrating these events to position herself as the first female emperor of the Wuxing Group. The article even kindly included a photograph of Zheng Peina, whose features were relatively refined, typical of Meta's single-fold eyelid women, her expression somewhat bewildered like a recent university graduate emerging from the ivory tower. Lin Chun contemplated this woman who was shouldering the blame for him, pondering whether to cast a curse or simply observe her actions. He resolved to watch how things would unfold once she assumed her role at Wuxing Group. Chapter 359, Su Fan departs. The arrival of a fair lady. Lin Chun ultimately decided to observe for the time being. If the Wuxing Group remained unchanged, then he would not hesitate to take decisive action. As he continued scrolling, he stumbled upon news regarding He Tang being released on bail. The accompanying image revealed He Tang had lost considerable weight since their last encounter, sporting a white neck brace. He immediately inquired of Xiao Ji, "Has there been any movement from He Tang?" Xiao Ji replied, after his release, he didn't go to the Jishuan headquarters, but went straight home, locking himself in his room, with his phone turned off and no contact with anyone. Lin Chun mused quietly, pondering whether this fellow was experiencing depression or scheming revenge against him. After all, He Tang had allied himself with the Wuxing Group previously. Who would he seek out this time? With this thought, Lin Chun decided to take the initiative. Since he dared to emerge, he should not blame him for making his life difficult. He began to mentally chant, continuous diarrhea, for a full minute before stopping. As he continued scrolling, he came across various tense international situations and conflicts, interspersed with news directly related to himself. There were statements from the Foreign Propaganda Office, and reports of a certain influencer being taken in for questioning due to inappropriate remarks, among other stories. Refreshing the page brought a smile to his face. The incident of Luo Xian spitting blood during her live Qigong practice had already been reported by a self-media outlet, a prominent influencer. Upon a brief examination, it became evident that this blogger held a skeptical view, suspecting that Luo Xian was engaging in self-promotion. In the comments section, immediate rebuttals emerged, showcasing an animated GIF of Luo Xian unscathed after a car accident. Subsequently, someone asserted in the comments that Luo Xian indeed possessed genuine skills, practicing an ancient and now lost Qigong technique, claiming to have witnessed an elderly individual proficient in similar practices during their childhood. This escalated into a debate over the existence of internal power in the world. To Lin Chun's astonishment, someone even cited him as an example, insisting that he surely possessed internal skills, which garnered widespread agreement in the comments. It was evident that after everything that had transpired, his martial prowess had become deeply ingrained in public perception. Checking the time, it was nearly 7:30, prompting Lin Chun to instruct Xiao Ji to commence today's live stream. As the broadcast began, the comments erupted. It started. Luo Xian fainted after spitting blood during her practice. Lin Chun, you are also a martial arts master. Please save Luo Xian and help her identify the problem. Indeed, I finally comprehend. Lin Shen's frequent nosebleeds are not due to dry weather, but rather because, like Goddess Luo, his internal energy has gone awry. What the heck? The person above is truly clueless. Lin Shen, quickly don a satellite dish on your head and send healing energy to Goddess Luo from afar. Lin Shen found it amusing yet exasperating. How could they suggest sending healing energy from a distance? He immediately responded, please refrain from flooding the comments with nonsensical remarks. If you're unwell, see a doctor. I can't provide help here. Moreover, there is no such thing as internal power. Let us not propagate misconceptions. Upon hearing this, the comments erupted in protest. You kicked a jeep into the air and crumpled a metal business card into a ball, yet you dare to argue with me? Lin Shen, do you truly think we're gullible? Stop deflecting, Lin Shen. Everyone has their struggles. Offering assistance is no burden. Help her today, and she will surely repay you in the future. Who says there is no internal power? My wife has internal skills. She appears delicate, yet when her energy surges, her entire being resonates like thunder, a fearsome sight, only to tremble and faint like Luo Xian afterward. Lin Shen explained briefly but refrained from further comment. Not only could he not assist, but even if he could, having gone to such lengths to put Luo Xian in this predicament, it was unlikely he would intervene. He proceeded to wash his face and brush his teeth. Upon descending the stairs, he saw Li Xiao already seated. She remarked, Shui Air seems very tired. I can't wake her no matter how I call. Lin Shen nodded, offering no explanation. Let her sleep. We'll leave after noon. The two waited in silence for a moment before Su Fan also appeared, looking quite puffy and dragging a suitcase behind him. Seeing Lin Shen, who appeared carefree, he smiled wryly. Lin Shen, I'll never drink with you again. Your alcohol tolerance is truly the highest I've ever seen. Lin Shen glanced at the suitcase in his hand, surprised. Are you leaving already? Su Fan nodded. I had intended to leave without saying a word. But I didn't expect you all to be up so early. I want to be accompanying you for the next month. I plan to rent a car to traverse Route 318, then take the A-Li Grand Circuit. Lin Shen, upon hearing this, did not press him further, inviting Su Fan to join them for breakfast before he departed. Thus, the three gathered at a nearby breakfast shop for a simple meal. Upon returning to the hotel exterior, Lin Shen and Li Xiao accompanied Su Fan to an off-road vehicle in the hotel courtyard. Su Fan tightly grasped Lin Shen's hand and said, the journey through the martial world is long, but I firmly believe that we shall have the opportunity to meet again in the future. Along this road, I will be sure to watch your live streams often. Lin Shen replied, take care. Su Fan patted the back of Lin Shen's hand and turned to get into the car. As he watched Su Fan drive away, Lin Shen couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion. The barrage of comments in the live stream reflected the same sentiment of reluctance. Life is like this. The people around us come and go, and those who can accompany us are always just a precious few. Just as Lin Shen and Li Xiao were preparing to return to the hotel, a business vehicle suddenly drove into the hotel courtyard, coming directly before them. With a clang, the car door swung open. Dressed in a long white down coat and sneakers, Yi Xiaoxi rushed out of the vehicle, dragging a suitcase behind her. She approached Lin Shen with an imposing demeanor, removing her sunglasses and staring intently at him. This sudden appearance startled Li Xiao, who exclaimed in surprise, Sister Shi, you arrived so quickly? Although Lin Shen was not frightened, he felt a twinge of guilt under Yi Xiaoxi's fierce gaze. Hadn't she been subdued by his earlier reprimand? Why did she still look so fierce now? Fearing that she might expose his secret of reading her diary, Lin Shen chuckled awkwardly and suggested, Sister Shi, let us discuss this inside. Yi Xiaoxi scrutinized Lin Shen for a few seconds before breaking into a charming smile and lightly lifting her chin. Ignoring Lin Shen, she linked arms with Li Xiao and headed into the hotel. The two women, having not seen each other for a few days, immediately began chattering away. Lin Shen could only smile helplessly as he prepared to follow them. Just then, a man's voice called out from behind, could you please settle the car rental fee? Lin Shen turned and instantly recognized the driver, and Guo Bing, who sported dark circles under his eyes. He had seen him at the old Capitol Bridge. One of the personnel accompanying Zhong Wenzhou. Lin Shen had even been searched by him before. Noticing the profound meaning behind and Guo Bing's panda eyes, Lin Shen felt a stir in his heart and approached him. Meanwhile, with Yi Xiaoxi's sudden arrival, the live stream's comments erupted into a frenzy. Chapter 360, Complete Trust. Follow me from now on. Wow. President Yi actually came. I sensed something was off last night when Sister She sent gifts in the comments. I can't believe she truly meant it. Incredible. She must have driven all night. Such is the simple yet extravagant life of the wealthy. Leaving without a thought for expenses. I just want to know what Sister She is here for. Is she accompanying Lin Shen on foot again? Don't ask. Just know it's a deep, consuming love. The above comment is correct. I often find myself in a similar predicament with my girlfriend. And she always pushes me away when I get too close, which is quite annoying. I suspect sister she is here for Luo Xian. There's a sense of urgency to defend Lin Shun's honor. What honor? Luo Xian is practically drained of her own. Does she even have the strength to defend Lin Shan? At this moment, Lin Shan approached the business vehicle and stood before the driver's window. Seeing Nguo Bing hesitate to speak, he immediately instructed Xiao Ji, lower the volume and wait aside for a moment. The sounds from the live stream abruptly ceased, and the phone was positioned at a distance. Countless comments flooded the screen, reflecting the audience's confusion over the situation. And Nguo Bing glanced at the live stream phone, ensuring it couldn't capture their conversation, then cautiously retrieved a box from his pocket. He handed it to Lin Shun with respect, saying, Director Lin, this is something Team Zhong asked me to deliver to you. Lin Shun opened the box to find a palm-sized certificate, an honorary title. A look of understanding crossed his face as he saw his photo printed on it, stamped with an official seal, denoting his title as a senior official. It was evident that the picture was a screenshot taken from his live stream. Lin Shun smiled and said, please thank old Zhong for me. This is very thoughtful. And Nguo Bing's eyes filled with a deeper reverence as he continued. Additionally, Team Zhong mentioned that there are some words he finds difficult to express over the phone, so he asked me to convey them. Lin Shun looked at him in confusion, and Nguo Bing's expression grew solemn as he stated, someone above wishes to say to you, I am sorry. As he uttered these words, his voice trembled. He could hardly fathom how significant Lin Shun had become in the eyes of those in power, necessitating such a formal apology. Lin Shun was taken aback, then suddenly enlightened. From the moment he began interacting with Zhong Wenzhou, those in authority had never fully trusted him, especially following the incident of the sabotage of the foreign spy satellite. Their wariness had only intensified, suspecting that he might be backed by some ambiguous force. This had led to the subsequent invisible tests where the Mathematics Society sent people to confront him. However, after last night, their doubts had been thoroughly dispelled. They had even shared advanced anti-gravity core technology with him without reservation. What more could they fear? Regardless of whether Lin Shan truly had such backing, he had demonstrated through his actions that he stood firmly with the Tang nation. Once this point was confirmed, the question of forces became irrelevant in the eyes of those in power. Thus, at this moment, the apology was significant. Lin Shan reflected on how relationships, whether between individuals or nations, require time to cultivate trust, transitioning from familiarity to confidence. He understood the official stance from above and recognized that the apology marked a shift in their attitude. Henceforth, they would trust him without reservation. Nodding, he replied, understood. He then took out his spare phone and asked, how much is it? I'll transfer it to you. And Nguo Bing, taken aback, replied, Director Lin. How could I accept your money? Lin Shan replied seriously, you didn't say that when you searched me initially. Upon hearing this, Nguo Bing's face fell, his dark circles becoming even more pronounced. It was said that Lin Shun held grudges, and it seemed to be true. He had remembered such a minor issue until now. Moreover, it seemed that anyone who caught Lin Shan's attention faced misfortune. Without mentioning others, Luo Xian was still lying in a hospital bed in Dingkong City. Would he face an accident on his drive home? Lin Shan chuckled and patted Nguo Bing on the shoulder, saying, I was just joking. Let us settle this. How much is it? And Nguo Bing sighed in relief and quickly replied, Director Lin, you really don't need to pay. I can get reimbursed for any expenses incurred. Lin Shan insisted, enough with the chatter, show me the QR code. That's an order. And Nguo Bing complied, displaying the payment QR code. Lin Shan scanned it and transferred 2,000 yuan, stating, I want to send you more. Consider this a token of appreciation for your night of driving. Remember not to tell old Zhong. And Nguo Bing's eyes genuinely reddened this time as he nodded, saying, thank you, Director Lin. Lin Shun then inquired, by the way, did Yi Xiaoxi say anything bad about me during the trip? And Nguo Bing pondered for a moment before responding. She mostly slept, but if she did say anything, it was in her sleep. Something about Lin Shun. Just wait, I will definitely win. You all step aside. I'm coming alone. What does that mean? Lin Shun thought, unable to suppress a gasp. It seemed that President Yi harbored some deep grievances. Did she mean that she would come alone to confront him in her dreams? Lin Shun continued, what about old Zhong? Has he ever spoken ill of me? And Nguo Bing broke out in a cold sweat and stammered, Director Lin, I really. Seeing his reaction, Lin Shun understood that Zhong Wenzhou had undoubtedly complained about him, likely due to being burdened with his affairs and losing sleep over it. With a swift pat on Nguo Bing's shoulder, he said, let us exchange numbers. If Lao Zhong ever speaks ill of me, make sure to inform me. And Nguo Bing was on the verge of tears as he replied, Lin Si, isn't this inappropriate? Lin Chen's expression turned serious as he retorted, "What is inappropriate about it? Don't forget, my current rank surpasses Lao Zhong's. If he disparages me in private, isn't that tantamount to slandering a superior? Stick with me. And you won't miss out on the benefits. A glorious future awaits." Hearing this, and Guobing visibly wavered, a conflicted look crossing his face. Finally, he bashfully agreed. "Well, okay then." Lin Chen smiled, promptly exchanging contact information. Upon inquiry, he learned that this fellow was named Lu Gang, and then he instructed Lu Gang to drive away. Watching the taillights of the business vehicle, Lin Chen displayed a satisfied expression. "Don't blame me, Lao Zhong. After all, I am now a person of rank. It's only natural to have a few capable individuals at my disposal." He then called back Xiao Ji, deactivating the mute. The live stream remained lively. Upon seeing Lin Chen appear on screen, viewers bombarded him with questions about what he had been discussing with the driver. Lin Chen smiled sheepishly. "Oh, it was nothing significant. Just haggling a bit on the price. I didn't want everyone to overhear." As soon as he spoke, the comments erupted. "Wow, Lin Chen, come on. You're worth billions, and yet you're still haggling over someone's hard-earned money? What a narrow perspective. Lin Chen's thinking is really limited this time. Whose money isn't hard-earned? If I go out for Western food, I can at least negotiate down by 100. Come on, that is excessive. Is it really necessary to haggle over such amounts? Does anyone know where to find good value Western cuisine? We're all wealthy here. I'm nearly 30 and have only had a few fine meals. Most of my dining experiences are buffets. Forget the lavish meals. Let me tell you. The best food is often found in those inconspicuous little shops on street corners. I've never been to those opulent places. Honestly, the restaurant business is tough these days. Everything is under strict scrutiny. My boss had to close down due to incomplete permits, and many staff members have returned home to marry." Chapter 361. Shui'er surprisingly becomes the biggest winner. Yi Xiaoxi's true intentions. After Lin Chen briefly explained, he signaled Xiao Ji to return to the hotel lobby. Not seeing Li Xiao and her companion, he promptly took the elevator to the 4th floor. There, he found both of them waiting at his room door. However, he noticed that Yi Xiaoxi's suitcase was no longer present. He inquired, "What are you two doing standing here?" Yi Xiaoxi, with a captivating glance, replied, "We're waiting for you. Shui'er is asleep, and we didn't want to disturb her. To be honest, what were you two up to while Zi Yao was asleep? She must be exceptionally tired, right?" Lin Chen almost stumbled at the question. Li Xiao looked at Lin Chen with a face full of suspicion. Deep down, she too harbored such questions but, due to her nature, was too shy to voice them. The viewers in the live stream erupted with comments. "Whoa, did Lin Chen finally make a move last night? No wonder he ended the stream so early. Now I understand why Tian Shen left with his suitcase so early. Who wouldn't be cautious around Lin Chen? Mystery solved. I found it odd when clever sister mentioned not being able to wake Shui'er. Turns out it was a long night. Don't ask. Just know that Lin Chen's driving skills are exceptional, or perhaps he took motion sickness medication before boarding. I doubt it. An entire night is too far-fetched. Let us not spread rumors. My husband tells me that anyone who lasts longer than a minute isn't normal. Big E was a step behind. Who would have thought that in the end, Shui'er would become the biggest winner? Lin Chen remains impressive. Even after a sleepless night, he is still so spirited. Back in my youth, I could pull all-nighters gaming. Lin Chen, observing the chaotic comments in the live stream, was momentarily speechless. He then turned to the two women, whose expressions were filled with skepticism, and asked, "Do you really think I'm that kind of person? Stop speculating. Just ask Shui'er later to find out." Yi Xiaoxi and Li Xiao exchanged glances, temporarily suppressing their doubts. Lin Chen retrieved his room card and opened the door. He noticed that once Yi Xiaoxi entered the room, she began to sniff around and peered into the trash can, seemingly searching for something. Then she lifted the blanket, exclaiming, "Oh dear. Why didn't you make your bed after getting up? Let me help you with that." As she folded the blanket, her gaze scrutinized the sheets. Lin Chen couldn't help but twitch at the corner of his mouth. This woman knows everything. Where did she learn such peculiarities? After what appeared to be a casual investigation, Yi Xiaoxi relaxed and sat on the bed's edge, stating, "Let us have a chat." Lin Chen, seeing this, could only smile helplessly and then muted Xiao Ji. After a moment as thought, he instructed Xiao Ji to fly to the bathroom. The live stream audience was naturally displeased. But there was nothing they could do. Over 1 billion viewers were simply sent to the restroom. Li Xiao sat next to Yi Xiaoxi, her gaze shifting back and forth between Yi Xiaoxi and Lin Chen, perplexed. In fact, even at this moment, she couldn't comprehend why Yi Xiaoxi had come over. And she wouldn't dare to ask. In a moment of silence, Yi Xiaoxi fixed her gaze on Lin Chen for several seconds before asking, "When did you sneak a peek at me?" Li Xiao. Her breath quickened instantly. Lin Chen chuckled lightly. Oh, it was just those few days. Yi Xiaoxi frowned, asking, how much did you see? Lin Chen shrugged, resigned. You might as well assume I saw everything. This was a debt owed by a woman. And no matter what, he could not expose Xiao Ji. Li Xiao finally couldn't restrain herself and spoke up. What exactly is going on here? Before she could finish, Yi Xiaoxi could no longer contain her frustration and laughed. You still have the nerve to be defensive. Don't you think an apology is in order? Li Xiao swallowed hard, scrutinizing Yi Xiaoxi's expression, and weakly inquired, what exactly did he see? Yi Xiaoxi huffed, private matters. Upon hearing this, Li Xiao stared at Lin Chen in disbelief. Her expression seemed to say, I can't believe you are that kind of person. Lin Chen let out a resigned sigh, standing up to say, did you come all this way just to hear me apologize? However, I do need to say sorry for looking at your diary. Diary? Li Xiao was taken aback, feeling a breath of relief wash over her, yet she couldn't help but glare at Lin Chen. How could you be that kind of person? Yi Xiaoxi smirked, her lips curling into a satisfied smile. Now that's more like it. Lin Chen continued, honestly, what do you truly want? Yi Xiaoxi tilted her head in contemplation, a hint of shyness flickering across her face. With a bashful glance at Lin Chen, she softly replied, all right then, Lin Chen. A second later, Lin Chen. The veins on his forehead bulged. What do you mean all right? You're being overly optimistic. This is not good at all. Instinctively, he glanced towards the bathroom, feeling a sense of relief. Thankfully, it was muted, otherwise, the viewers would have gone wild over this conversation. Li Xiao, looking utterly confused, suddenly felt as though she couldn't understand human speech anymore. A few seconds later, she finally came to her senses, her face flushing red as she clenched her fists, glaring at Yi Xiaoxi. Sister Shi, how could you? The words trailing off. She simply couldn't finish her thought. Yi Xiaoxi's cheeks also flushed as she chuckled. You're so clever, yet you're not making the most of this opportunity. I've been gone for days, and you're still the same? If I were you, I would have taken advantage of last night's drinking. Before she could finish, the flustered Li Xiao covered her mouth. Yet, some words still slipped through her fingers. You wouldn't be thinking of that. Only to accidentally get drunk, would you? You're utterly useless. How can you be this inadequate? Li Xiao exclaimed, her face flushed with anger as she pushed Yi Xiaoxi down. Scratching her playfully, Yi Xiaoxi burst into laughter and quickly retaliated, poking and tickling Li Xiao in turn, causing her to squeal in surprise. The atmosphere seemed to be infused with a citrusy aroma. Lin Chen watched the scene, speechless, wondering if such a display was truly meant for his eyes. He swiftly activated his innate skills to suppress his agitation, unable to resist interjecting, don't go too far. This is my room, and please refrain from soiling my blankets. The two disheveled girls finally paused. After Yi Xiaoxi tidied herself up, she adopted a serious demeanor, stating, let's discuss business. I initially came to confront you, but I received a phone call en route, and now I'm here to report. Lin Chen was taken aback. Li Xiao looked equally astonished at Yi Xiaoxi's words. With a playful smile, Yi Xiaoxi stood up, adjusting her attire. In an instant, she transformed back into the domineering CEO of the business world, Big Yi. With an elegant posture, she extended her hand to Lin Chen, saying, hello, Mr. Lin. From today onwards, I shall be your personal secretary. Lin Chen stared at her outstretched hand, momentarily frozen, his eyes widening in disbelief. Secretary? I'm just an ordinary person. Why would I need a secretary? Yi Xiaoxi stepped closer, clasping Lin Chen's hand with her own, shaking it gently while suppressing a laugh. I am your personal secretary. My grandfather recommended me for this position, stating that you require someone amiable, beautiful, proficient in business, and trustworthy to serve as a liaison with the Kwafu Group. I will assist you in staying informed about the Kwafu Group's developments and facilitate communication of internal matters. I fit all the criteria perfectly. After careful consideration, the higher-ups approved my appointment. A hint of allure danced in her eyes as she added, thus, from now on, I am officially part of the Kwafu Group. Lin Chen was momentarily stunned. Upon reflection, he realized that since the establishment of the Kwafu Group, he indeed required someone like her. Setting aside other concerns, he was utterly inexperienced in business, and without a trustworthy, knowledgeable person by his side, he would likely find himself lost when the Kwafu Group commenced operations. From every angle, it seemed Yi Xiaoxi was the most suitable candidate. Of course, while she was undeniably beautiful, her amiability and gentleness were still open to question. Nevertheless, he couldn't help but inquire, what about your own Tanghun Group? Yi Xiaoxi replied with a smile, it's quite simple. I'll let the vice president take over my position, and then we can hire an external president. Lin Chen sighed lightly. You're the president of a major corporation. Isn't it a waste for you to be my secretary? Upon hearing this, Yi Xiaoxi glanced down at herself and then at Lin Chen's lower half, stating earnestly, "I don't mind." Lin Chen's eyes twitched. Of course you don't mind. If they weren't still getting acquainted, he would have shown her what it truly meant to be imposing. Yi Xiaoxi continued, "What kind of enterprise is the Quafu Group? Do you think just anyone is qualified to be your secretary? It requires professional competence and trustworthiness, and at present, I undoubtedly fit the bill." Seeing Lin Chen still hesitating, she stepped closer, almost invading his personal space, and softly said, "As your personal secretary, I can help you with every aspect of your work and life." Gazing at her enchanting visage, a myriad of indescribable scents wafted into Lin Chen's senses, leaving him momentarily dazed. Who could resist such a lure? On the side, Li Xiao, having observed the scene for a while, could no longer contain herself. Her face flushed with indignation, she exclaimed, "Even if you are a personal secretary, this is too close for comfort." Yi Xiaoxi shot Li Xiao a teasing yet seductive glance, replying, "Don't overthink it. This is part of my job." Li Xiao trembled with rage, her breath quickening as she turned to Lin Chen, who cleared his throat and discreetly retreated 2 steps, returning to the single sofa. With a serious tone, he stated, "A secretary is a secretary, but let me be clear. Do your job well and avoid any unnecessary complications. Or don't blame me for replacing you." Yi Xiaoxi's eyes sparkled as she nodded earnestly. "Understood, Mr. Lin." Lin Chen felt a headache coming on, sensing that having her around would surely lead to trouble in the future. However, she did make a valid point, for the time being. She was indeed the most fitting choice. He then called out to Xiao Ji, and the live-streaming phone flew back to him from the bathroom. As Xiao Ji muted the device, Lin Chen glanced at the barrage of comments in the live chat and was momentarily taken aback. "Here it comes." Lin Chen quickly explained. "Did you upgrade, Xiao Ji? It must be an upgrade. I just zoomed in on the screenshot, and the back cover is clearly different, making the entire phone appear slimmer." The 5-star group issued a statement claiming Lin Chen stole their design, and Lin Chen previously mentioned that their designs were outdated. If conditions permit, he might remove the propeller. Could it be true? I also zoomed in on the screenshot. It seems like there is indeed no propeller. Lin Chen immediately grasped the source of the issue. The bathroom wall had a mirror, and the livestream audience had caught a glimpse of the phone's appearance through its reflection, leading them to notice the irregularity. With many viewers now expressing their opinions with certainty, Lin Chen chuckled and said, "Everyone's observation skills are quite sharp. Since you've all noticed, I won't hide it any longer. Last night, after I ended the stream, I did indeed upgrade the live-streaming phone, but I won't disclose the specifics to avoid those who might accuse me of copying their designs." The comments exploded with reactions. "No way. Incredible. Lin Chen has surely created magnetic levitation. Magnetic levitation requires a fixed track. Lin Chen has genuinely developed UFO technology. I'm losing my mind. Could this be an anti-gravity device? Is Lin Chen aiming for a Nobel Prize? This is insane. How did Lin Chen manage this? Even if it's an anti-gravity device, it should be large. Yet it seems to have made the live-streaming phone even thinner. Crucially, modifications require equipment and materials, yet Lin Chen had nothing at hand. How did he achieve this? The 5-star group must be bewildered. This is beyond what I could have copied." Numerous viewers expressed both excitement and confusion, inundating the chat with inquiries. However, Lin Chen had no intention of elaborating further. Instead, he shifted the topic, stating, "Let's not dwell on this. Now, I would like to officially introduce someone." He rose and moved to Yi Xiaoxi's side, declaring, "From today onwards, sister, she will be my secretary, responsible for liaising with the Quafu Group on various matters." Yi Xiaoxi greeted the audience with a smile, playfully emphasizing, "I am indeed the personal secretary." This statement swiftly diverted the attention of many viewers. No way. Big Yi has become Lin Chen's secretary? What a twist. A group president serving as a secretary? Lin Chen's status has skyrocketed. It proves that Ren Lao is astute. Being the first to fly in a helicopter to block Lin Chen has paid off. Isn't the focus on the word personal? How can anyone resist that closeness? Honestly, Lin Chen needs someone like her. He lacks knowledge in many areas, and when he veers off course, it will be up to Big Yi to guide him back onto the right path. Upstairs, Lin Chen will contribute technically, while Yi will ensure smooth communication. Each will play to their strengths and compensate for weaknesses, leading to success. Mr. Yi is indeed a good person. Having set aside the Tang Hung group to assist Lin Chen, it is inevitable that he will face challenges for Lin Chen in the future, and I hope Mr. Yi remains steadfast in his benevolence and does not waver along the way. Chapter 363. The Storm of 318 begins. Here she comes. Lin Chen cast a helpless glance at Yi Xiaoxi beside him. There was no need to emphasize the closeness of their relationship, as the live stream's comments had already erupted with excitement. He then looked over at Li Ziyao, feeling somewhat disheartened, realizing the complexities of women. This pair of plastic sisters had entered the hotel hand in hand, but now they were at odds. At that moment, the hotel's landline phone suddenly rang. Lin Shen answered, only to hear the receptionist say, "Hello, is this Lin Shen? There are a few people at the front desk looking for you." Claiming to be from Feng Yin's super management team. Lin Shen was taken aback. Why was the Feng Yin super management team here? He quickly responded, "All right. Please have them wait a moment." After hanging up, he informed Yi Shaoxi and Li Ziyao, the Feng Yin super management team has arrived. But I have no idea what they want. Upon hearing this, the live stream comments once again erupted. Many began to flood the chat with storm of 318. Lin Shen recognized the significance of the comments. He had almost forgotten about this event. With the National Day holiday approaching tomorrow, it was indeed the time for the event to commence. He promptly exited the room with the two women and took the elevator down to the lobby. Upon entering the lobby, he immediately spotted 5 individuals seated on the sofas, 3 men and 2 women, among whom 2 men and 2 women possessed an extraordinary demeanor, resembling officials from the government. When Lin Shen appeared, all 5 rose to greet him. The foremost was a round-faced woman in her late 20s, wearing glasses. After shaking Lin Shen's hand, she smiled and introduced herself. "Hello, Lin Shen. I am Xiaomi from the Feng Yin Business Department's super management team. I am here specifically to coordinate matters regarding the Storm of 318 event with you." Lin Shen politely returned the greeting. Xiaomi then introduced the 4 individuals behind her, who, as expected, were all government officials. They included representatives from the Badong County government and officials from the Qianzi Autonomous Prefecture. Each greeted Lin Shen courteously with a handshake. They soon requested a small meeting room from the hotel to discuss further details. The live stream comments were relentless. "Wow. I've seen other streamers participating in the Storm of 318 event, and they were only met by county-level officials. I can't believe that even provincial officials have come to meet Lin Shen. No wonder he is the king of popularity online. He brings in so much revenue. And the prestige is unmatched. Oh no, it's so hard to bear. Lin Shen has finally embarked on the irreversible path of merchandise promotion. Haha. I can't wait to see how Lin Shen promotes products. Will he call everyone family again?" Once everyone settled into the small meeting room, Xiaomi began distributing materials. Lin Shen picked up the documents and was impressed by how well-prepared Feng Yin was for this event. The materials not only outlined the event's details, but also provided extensive information about the local specialties from the cities along the 318 route and various regions of Qianzi Prefecture. The variety was remarkable, with the most well-known being yak meat and cordyceps. Additionally, there were lamb, drunken pears, matsutake mushrooms, morel mushrooms, highland kiwis, gastrodia, fritillaria, musk, ghee cakes, butter tea, barley wine, yogurt pancakes, carpets, thankas, and more. Xiaomi then elaborated on the event's rules. The entire event would last 5 days. With sales volume determining the points earned, the participant with the highest score would be crowned champion. During the event, points could be gifted to other streamers or used as bullets to negate the points of other streamers. In simpler terms, if Lin Shen held 10 million points, he could choose to gift all of them to someone else, reducing his own score to 0, or he could use those 10 million points to offset another streamer's score, resulting in both parties losing 10 million points. This rule provided opportunities for alliances and rivalries among streamers. Under normal circumstances, no one would willingly sacrifice their own success for another. However, the platform would undoubtedly view this differently, as it pertained to the platform's honor. And they would strive to unite their streamers, ensuring that, regardless of who won, it would be someone from their platform. After outlining the basic rules, Xiaomi added, moreover, streamers are prohibited from engaging in self-purchasing. Should we discover any violations, it would result in disqualification. She then fixed a serious gaze on Lin Shen. Due to certain special circumstances, our platform's top-tier streamers with strong merchandise capabilities, such as Brother Wendao, have already suspended their broadcasts. Sister AI Fei is more laid back. So we are relying on you. However, given your high popularity, many streamers from other platforms will likely band together to target you. It's uncertain who will ultimately take the crown. Lin Shen was speechless. What do you mean by certain special circumstances? Just name me directly. The audience in the live stream erupted with laughter, filling the comments with playful jests. Wow, is Lin Shen now the big bad wolf? Getting ganged up on by streamers from the 3 major platforms? Being surrounded is too harsh. Despite Lin Shen's popularity, this tactic might lead to his score hitting 0. I was once besieged by a group too. That was a real struggle. I lost 5 pounds in 3 days. To support Lin Shen, I'll definitely buy 2 pounds of kiwi for my buddy. I must get some matsutake. I want to buy 2 pounds to stew chicken for my neighbor who just had a miscarriage. Many comments expressed support, though their sincerity was uncertain. Lin Chen sighed. I can only do my best. I've never promoted merchandise before, so I can't say how much I will sell. Following this, Xiaomi turned the floor over to the representatives from the government. After some formalities, they began to elaborate on the characteristics and advantages of each specialty, alongside their pricing. They also presented various samples they had brought along, assuring Lin Chen that all products sold would maintain the same quality. After reviewing everything, Lin Chen consulted with Li Ziyao and Yi Xiaoxi for their opinions and ultimately confirmed the types of products for promotion. These items would be listed on the little yellow card. As the discussion drew to a close, Lin Chen stood up to see the government officials out of the hotel. Xiaomi remained behind to teach Lin Chen how to operate the little yellow card and to set up the selected products in advance. She concluded, the products will be available right at midnight tonight. No need to worry about stock shortages, as headquarters will monitor it continuously. Lin Chen shook hands with Xiaomi, thanked her for her efforts, and watched her depart. He then turned to the live stream, expressing his resignation. Viewers, I'll be relying on all of you. Please don't let me lose too badly. The comments flooded in with phrases like next time for sure, no problem, I'll guarantee a loss. I can't wait to see Lin Chen crying after losing, and I'll make sure you lose everything. Lin Chen chuckled, knowing many were joking. And he was confident that his true supporters would rally behind him. He maintained a calm mindset regarding the upcoming event. If he won, great, and if not, it was no tragedy. Realizing it was nearly noon, he decided to step out for lunch and grab a takeout for the still slumbering Shui'er. Just as he took a few steps, his backup phone rang. Lin Chen answered to find it was Zhong Wenzhou calling. After walking a little further, he picked up the call, only to hear Zhong Wenzhou's grave voice. Lin Chen, Luo Xian escaped last night. Lin Chen was stunned, quickly responding, wait. You didn't just discover that she's missing now, did you? Zhong Wenzhou let out a bitter smile. This woman is indeed formidable. I am at a loss as to how she managed it. When she entered the emergency room, it was her. Yet when she emerged, the individual lying there, though identical in appearance, was actually a nurse whom she had disguised and rendered unconscious. A meticulous examination would reveal no discernible difference. It was only moments ago, when the nurse awakened from the bed, that I realized something was amiss. Judging by the timeline, if she traveled throughout the night, she likely has already reached Badong by now. You must be cautious. Everyone approaching you could potentially be her in disguise. As Zhong Wenzhou's voice resonated over the phone, Lin Chen's gaze suddenly fell upon a woman walking directly towards him. She was tall and had her hair tied in a ponytail, her visage quite ordinary. However, as she swiftly untied her ponytail, her long, dark hair cascaded down, and her fingers brushed across her face. A stunning yet slightly pallid countenance came into Lin Chen's view. It was indeed Luo Xian. Chapter 364. She fell on her own. The old man confirmed it. Lin Chen, while fixated on Luo Xian who was about 10 meters away, spoke into his spare phone. No time to chat. She has arrived. On the other end, Zhong Wenzhou paused. Who has arrived? A flicker of hostility flashed in Lin Chen's eyes. The vengeful spirit has arrived. With that, he ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. At that moment, Li Ziyao and Yi Xiaoxi, who were trailing behind, also sensed something was off. Although Lin Chen had his back to them, his demeanor had undergone a complete transformation in that instant. He exuded an aura akin to a blade unsheathed, radiating an indescribable sharpness. They hastened to catch up and instinctively followed Lin Chen's gaze. In unison, they gasped, Luo Xian? The live streaming phone, which had caught up with them, also focused its lens on Luo Xian. The chat room erupted in a flurry of comments. What the hell? Luo Xian? Wasn't she supposed to be at the Dingkong City Hospital? How could she suddenly appear here? I was in her live stream last night. I witnessed her spitting blood. This is too miraculous. Luo Xian looks quite dashing in her current attire, clad in a sleek black trench coat, reminiscent of a female assassin. What a shame she is not in a film. Oh no, Goddess Luo must be here to confront God Lin. The master is bound to face a downfall. Let us fight. Pull hair. Tear clothes. In stark contrast to the exuberance of the live stream audience, Lin Chen had already rolled up his sleeves. If she has come, let us engage. Who fears whom? Worst case, I'll be scorned for striking a woman in public. Just as the distance between them shrank to less than 4 meters, Lin Chen noticed the two women had caught up and were poised to step forward. He immediately halted, extending his arms to block, and murmured, let me handle this. For reasons unknown, despite Li Ziyao and Yi Xiaoxi walking in unison, Lin Chen's right arm inadvertently brushed against Yi Xiaoxi first. It was quite soft. Yet at that moment, no one paid attention to such details. The two women exchanged glances and complied. Lin Chen approached Luo Xian alone, a peculiar light flickering in his eyes. At this proximity, Lin Shun could clearly perceive that Luo Xian was in a dire state. Her complexion was pale, her breath erratic, and her vital energy was in turmoil. It was baffling why this woman, on the brink of collapse, would resort to such a ruse as to confront him here. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Just as Lin Shun braced himself for defensive action should Luo Xian make a move, an unexpected scene unfolded. Luo Xian suddenly faltered and lurched forward. Seeing her fall towards him, Lin Shun hastily raised his hands and sidestepped. Thud! Luo Xian crashed face first onto the ground, her eyes closed, unconscious. A trickle of blood seeped from her nostrils. Li Xiao and Yi Xiaoxi stood dumbfounded. Lin Shun promptly declared, "You all witnessed it. I did not touch her. She fell on her own." The viewers in the live stream were equally stunned. The chat room exploded. What just happened? Luo Xian fainted? Goodness. Is it genuine or feigned? Did Goddess Luo come in with a grand entrance only to be dodged by God Lin? Goddess Luo is bleeding from her nose. It must be real. What do you mean you didn't touch her? God Lin is ruthless. He didn't hesitate to evade and watched as Goddess Luo fell. Don't ask. It's all about survival instincts. Those two fierce women are watching. I'm a medical student. The way Luo Xian fell cannot be faked. She is truly unconscious. Call for an ambulance. Lin Shun turned his head to see the barrage of comments in the live stream and felt a wave of helplessness. These spectators were merely enjoying the spectacle, utterly unaware of how dangerous this woman was. Had he caught her, she might have plunged a knife into his heart. As he noticed Li Xiao and Yi Xiaoxi unable to contain themselves and wanting to approach, he quickly instructed, "Please stay back. Let me assess her condition." He knelt beside Luo Xian and placed his hand on her pulse. After a few seconds, he pulled out his phone to call for an ambulance. For Luo Xian was indeed unconscious. Not only was it due to her inner turmoil and excessive blood loss, but more importantly, this woman was ill. As a practitioner of Western medicine, he could not articulate the specifics, but sensed something was profoundly wrong with her. Her organs were severely failing. A normal person in her state would struggle even to rise from bed, let alone drive such a long distance. She must have been sustained solely by a breath of ethereal energy within her. Even without his curse, Luo Xian would likely not have long to live. Seeing this, Li Xiao and the others approached to inquire about Luo Xian's condition. Lin Shun said nothing, allowing the two women to help Luo Xian into a seated position on a nearby bench. The audience in the live stream was in an uproar. At that moment, several individuals approached, offering assistance. Lin Shun caught sight of their subtly displayed credentials and recognized them as personnel from the Gua and Bureau lurking nearby. He shook his head, politely declining their offer. The agents pretended to disperse, blending back into the crowd. Moments later, an ambulance arrived swiftly, coming to a halt by the roadside. Medical personnel disembarked, and a doctor quickly assessed Luo Xian's condition. His expression grew serious as he instructed the attending nurse. The patient's vital signs are critical. Prepare the respirator, adrenaline, and calcium. One nurse hurriedly boarded the ambulance to gather supplies, while others carefully lifted Luo Xian onto a stretcher, ready to transport her. The doctor scanned the surroundings and inquired, "Who among you is the patient's family? Please come with me to the hospital." As he spoke, Luo Xian, being carried past Lin Shun, suddenly reached out and grasped his wrist. Her brow furrowed in pain as she murmured incoherently, "Daddy." Li Xiao and Yi Xiaoxi simultaneously turned their gaze toward Lin Shun. "Lin Shun, what are you looking at me for? I certainly do not have a daughter as old as 35. The livestream chat erupted once more. What the hell? Did I hear correctly? Goddess Luo just called God Lin daddy. What a scandal. I never expected God Lin to be that kind of person. Goodness. So, Goddess Luo's visit to God Lin was a quest to find her father? This defies logic. How could God Lin be old enough to have such an adult daughter? Don't ask. Just assume she was born with a sword in hand and extraordinary talent. The old father confirmed. Enough joking. Goddess Luo is talking nonsense. She might be in serious danger. Lin Shun immediately pried Luo Xian's hand away and explained to the bewildered doctor, "We are not her family. We are merely acquaintances." The doctor urged, "Acquaintances are fine. Come with me to the hospital." With that, he climbed into the ambulance. At this moment, Yi Xiaoxi spoke. "Saving lives is of utmost importance. Lin Shun and I will head to the hospital. Xiao, please wait for us at the hotel." Li Xiao hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Lin Shun also nodded. Given Luo Xian's current state, it was not an exaggeration to say that she could hardly manage even the simplest tasks. The gravity of life and death was one aspect. However, she did call me father. Perhaps it was time to perform a good deed. Chapter 365, A Fatal Encounter? To take a vehicle, One could only exchange a day-use rest card valued at 500,000 popularity points. Considering the urgency of the situation, Lin Xun reluctantly acquiesced and made the exchange. Another reason for this decision was the fact that numerous spectators had witnessed Luo Xian coming for him. Not accompanying her to the hospital would seem excessively callous. The live-streaming phone accompanied the ambulance. However, following the nurse's request, Lin Xun informed the viewers concerned about Luo Xian's condition and then ended the stream. Sitting beside him, Lin Xun and Yi Xiaoxi observed as the doctors began emergency treatment for Luo Xian. They placed her on a ventilator and administered medication. Yi Xiaoxi nestled close to Lin Xun and whispered, "Do you think Luo Xian will be all right?" Lin Xun shook his head. Her condition is dire. Her organs are severely failing. Even if she is revived, she likely won't survive for long. The doctor looked at Lin Xun in surprise. "Young man, you seem quite knowledgeable. Are you studying medicine?" Lin Xun cleared his throat and replied, "I have a modest understanding of traditional Chinese medicine. I took her pulse earlier." Yi Xiaoxi gazed at Lin Xun in astonishment, her beautiful eyes glistening. She could not fathom how Lin Xun possessed such diverse talents, conducting research, singing, and practicing traditional medicine. The doctor nodded knowingly, then looked at Luo Xian with pity. "She must be Luo Xian. I remember listening to her songs frequently in college." Such beauty is often met with misfortune. Although he was unaware of her specific circumstances, he agreed, "As you mentioned, it likely won't be long. With her condition, she should be resting in a hospital, not in this high-altitude area." Lin Xun remained silent. If he had not cursed the 9 minutes and 58 seconds yesterday, Luo Xian might have lived a little longer. After all, she was someone who cultivated genuine energy, even with a failing body. As long as her energy remained intact, she could cling to life. He knew of individuals from the Republican era who, aware of their impending demise, could not pass away due to a lingering breath of energy within them, enduring the torment of illness. They had to disperse their energy voluntarily to depart peacefully. The series of mishaps yesterday had caused Luo Xian to repeatedly draw upon her energy, combined with the intense physical exertion and subsequent madness, leading to her rapidly deteriorating condition. Nevertheless, why did Luo Xian, fully aware of her state, risk everything to seek him out? Did she have such deep feelings for the assassin Luo Xian that she would go so far as to sacrifice herself for revenge? At this thought, Lin Xun glanced at Yi Xiaoxi beside him. He observed the camaraderie between her and her sister, contrasting it with his own relationship with Qingming. Just then, his backup phone rang. It was a call from Zhong Wenzhou. Upon answering, Zhong Wenzhou inquired about Luo Xian's condition. Lin Xun provided a brief overview. After a moment of silence, Zhong Wenzhou sighed. What a pity. Lin Xun suspected that Zhong Wenzhou lamented the inability to extract the secret of energy cultivation from Luo Xian. He then said, "You should go to the hospital. I will arrange for someone to take over for you. We will also assist with her affairs." Lin Xun replied dryly, "Then I thank you on her behalf." He hung up the phone and noticed Luo Xian on the stretcher beginning to thrash about, murmuring, "Daddy." Yi Xiaoxi nudged Lin Xun with her elbow and said, "She called for you again." Lin Xun retorted irritably, "Go away." Moments later, the ambulance arrived at the entrance of Batong County Hospital. After Luo Xian was swiftly wheeled into the emergency room, Lin Xun and Yi Xiaoxi waited outside. Soon, a nurse emerged with a document, stating, "This patient is experiencing unexplained multiple organ failure. We can only do our best to stabilize her. If her condition stabilizes, she will need to be transferred to a larger hospital. Here is her critical condition notice. Can you contact her family?" Lin Xun took the notice and replied, "She is an orphan with no family." The nurse nodded and returned to the emergency room. Before long, several members of the Anghua division arrived, including Li Yuan. He whispered, "Lin, you should leave. We will handle things here." Lin Xun nodded and prepared to depart when the door to the emergency room suddenly opened again. The attending physician stepped out, exclaiming, "The patient has regained consciousness." "Who is Lin Xun?" She specifically requested to see him. All eyes turned to Lin Xun, who, feeling helpless, followed the doctor inside. The physician wore an expression of astonishment as he walked. "It's quite remarkable. Despite her multiple organ failures, she has remarkably stabilized so quickly. In my years of practice, I've never encountered a patient with such resilience." Nevertheless, he warned, her condition remains critical, and she must be transferred to a larger hospital for systematic treatment. Lin Xun entered the emergency compartment where Luo Xian lay, connected to monitors and a ventilator. Her eyes half opened as she gazed at him. He checked the monitor displaying her heart rate and blood pressure, confirming they had returned to normal levels. He then asked the medical staff, "May I speak with her privately?" The healthcare personnel exchanged glances and, after cautioning Lin Xun not to tamper with the equipment, left the room. One young nurse, seizing the opportunity, discreetly snapped a photo with her phone. She then uploaded the picture to her social media account, adding a romantic soundtrack. She subsequently entered Lin Chen's live streaming room. A user named Not Fond of Washing Hands commented, "I'm at Badon Hospital. Just save Goddess Luo." And Lin Chun is talking to her. "Check my profile for the photo. We don't deceive our own. Lin Chun is truly handsome." Upon seeing this, many viewers initially thought it was just another clickbait comment, only to be infuriated by the subsequent trivial videos. However, a considerable number were intrigued. When they clicked to investigate, they were astonished to find an actual photo of Lin Chun standing by the hospital bed, prompting an uproar. Meanwhile, Lin Chun and Luo Xian locked eyes, momentarily speechless. Finally, Lin Chun pondered aloud, "You're on the verge of death, and you traveled so far just to call me father?" Beep, beep, beep. The monitor beside them began to blare as red lights flashed. It indicated that Luo Xian's blood pressure and heart rate were spiking beyond safe limits. The medical staff stationed at the emergency room door were startled and rushed over. The nurse who had posted the comment was simultaneously recording on her phone. Before long, the critically ill Luo Xian, previously in a near-death state, suddenly sat up. Her face flushed and emotions heightened as she ripped off the breathing mask and the electrodes connecting her to the monitors. In one swift motion, she leaped from the bed, her hand already poised to strike Lin Chun before her feet even touched the ground. Lin Chun remained unfazed, even finding it amusing. What did she expect to accomplish in her precarious state? He effortlessly met her palm with his own. Slap. Chapter 366, An Uninterrupted Conversation. The past of Luo Xian, the two hands, one large and one small, connected seamlessly, producing a crisp sound. It was somewhat embarrassing, in all his years. This was Lin Chen's first experience measuring the length of a girl's fingers in such a manner. The cool and soft touch of her skin was indeed vastly different from that of a tissue. A pure stream of innate energy surged into Luo Xian's body, causing her to shudder and abruptly turn her head, opening her mouth to vomit. Lin Chun deftly nudged a trash bin into position just as she began to expel a torrent of blood, mixed with dark crimson clots. Should anyone examine these clots, they would immediately discern the writhing black worms within. Within mere seconds of exposure to air, these worms lost all vitality. This scene left the approaching medical staff in a state of shock. A young nurse, clutching her phone, gasped, nearly losing her grip on the device. Lin Chun's eyes flickered with a hint of intrigue. "What are you doing? Let go!" A paramedic shouted, rushing forward to grasp Lin Chun's wrist. Just after Luo Xian had finished vomiting, she casually flicked her arm, seemingly weak, yet managing to send the doctor stumbling back 4 steps before he regained his balance. Luo Xian looked up at Lin Chun, her expression a blend of disbelief and the glimmer of hope akin to finding a lifeline. Lin Chun released his hold and gazed intently at her, noticing traces of blood still lingering by her lips. "I believe we ought to have a serious discussion," he stated. "Indeed, we should," Luo Xian replied. As she spoke, her complexion appeared rosier, her vitality seemingly restored, betraying no signs of illness. She turned to the astonished medical personnel and declared, "I will settle the emergency fees later," before striding towards the exit of the emergency room. The paramedic insisted, "Your condition is extremely precarious. We cannot delay. We must ascertain the cause, and it's best you go to a larger hospital for a thorough treatment." Luo Xian waved her hand dismissively over her shoulder. Lin Chun cast a glance into the trash bin before following her outside. As they exited the emergency room, they encountered Li Yuan and other personnel from the security bureau, who blocked Luo Xian's path with predatory expressions. Yi Xiaoxi looked on in bewilderment. The woman had appeared on the verge of death mere moments before, yet now she looked vibrant and full of life after just a brief encounter with Lin Chun. Lin Chun addressed Li Yuan and the others. There's no need to obstruct her. They reluctantly parted to allow her passage. Luo Xian glanced back at Lin Chun, then turned and entered the safety corridor. Lin Chun offered Yi Xiaoxi a reassuring look before following Luo Xian inside. The two ascended the stairs, and Lin Chun couldn't help but feel that the unfolding events were bound to be intriguing. Upon reaching the 8th floor of the county hospital, they discovered the door leading to the rooftop was locked. Lin Chun remarked, "We need not go to the rooftop for our conversation. This place is deserted and suitable for discussion." Luo Xian turned to face him. "How did Luo Xian die?" she inquired. Lin Chun replied, "Surely the personnel from the security bureau have informed you. She was struck by lightning." A look of skepticism crossed Luo Xian's face. Lin Chun sighed. "If you do not trust me, you must trust her remains. If you doubt me, a glance will reveal the truth." A complex expression crossed Luo Xian's features. Yet sorrow was absent. She finally sighed softly. "Death may be a relief." What did this imply? Lin Shen regarded her with curiosity. By your demeanor, it seems you harbor no desire for vengeance. What is your true intention here? Luo Xian looked deeply into Lin Shen's eyes and said, If I told you I came to embrace death, would you believe me? Lin Shen was taken aback. Then, Luo Xian sat down on the steps and began to recount her story. After listening for a while, Lin Shen finally grasped the situation. His initial suspicions had proven correct. The orphanage where Luo Xian grew up harbored dark secrets. The elderly director of the orphanage was a figure of considerable skill, his lineage tracing back to the shadowy guardians of emperors, specializing in assassination techniques that dated back a millennium. Following the fall of the dynasty, their lineage chose to live in obscurity, clandestinely establishing the Shadow Sect. In the early days of the Tang dynasty, amidst political turmoil, they frequently engaged in assassination endeavors. However, as time progressed, the rise of firearms rendered even the most skilled martial artists vulnerable. Consequently, although the Shadow Sect amassed considerable wealth over the years, their numbers dwindled. By modern times, only the elderly director remained. Lacking offspring or relatives, and unwilling to see the Shadow Sect perish, he opened an orphanage. Ultimately, he selected 3 exceptionally gifted children from the orphanage to inherit the sect's skills, Luo Xian and a pair of siblings. A boy named Mo Yun and a girl named Mo Li. Initially, the trio held deep gratitude towards the elderly director and, during their training, ingested a peculiar greenish potion annually, purportedly essential for their cultivation. In truth, this potion was a form of antidote. Unbeknownst to them, they had been implanted with a mysterious parasitic worm, a legacy of the Shadow Sect, during their childhood. This parasitic worm, utilized by shadow guards in the imperial era to control their assassins, resided within the organs of the body. An annual dose of the antidote was imperative. Failure to do so would incite the worms to wreak havoc within, inflicting excruciating pain unto death. The elderly director's intentions were not solely to preserve the lineage of the Shadow Sect. He aimed to mold Luo Xian and her companions into lucrative assets to enjoy the remainder of their lives. While learning the sect's techniques, Luo Xian and the others also attended school. The elderly director was unaware that during a routine school health check, a doctor discovered peculiar shadows on Mo Yun's CT scan, initially suspecting a parasitic infection. Consequently, Mo Yun grew cautious, undertaking various secret tests and stealthily accessing the director's study, where he uncovered an ancient tome that revealed the truth. Mo Yun kept this discovery from Luo Xian and Mo Li, redoubling his training efforts and becoming the first to graduate as a member of the Shadow Sect. While on a mission abroad, he sought modern medical means to eradicate the parasite within him, yet found no success. Ultimately, he resorted to confronting the elderly director to extract the potion's formula. After one fateful night, the director was dead, and Mo Yun had failed to obtain the antidote's recipe. He informed Luo Xian and Mo Li of the situation, leaving behind a pharmaceutical remedy to alleviate the parasite's agony before departing with his sister, Mo Li. Years later, Luo Xian discovered she could cultivate true energy and suppress the parasite's effects, decisively abandoning the addictive medication. By chance, she ventured into the entertainment industry. Shortly after achieving fame, Mo Li reappeared in her life after many years. Mo Li was astonished to see Luo Xian alive and revealed the truth. Mo Yun had not only extracted the potion's formula from the elderly director, but had also acquired the antidote capable of completely annihilating the parasite. Meanwhile, Luo Xian realized that relying solely on the pharmaceutical remedy would limit her life to a mere 20 years. The two women soon clashed violently, with Luo Xian overwhelmingly dominating. Just as she prepared to deliver a fatal blow, Mo Li suddenly declared that she had implanted the parasitic worms in several children at the current orphanage. If Luo Xian were to die, those children would perish as well. Compelled to halt, Luo Xian reluctantly allowed Mo Li to escape. Subsequently, she visited the orphanage under the guise of charity, arranging experiences for the children, and discovered that 3 of them indeed harbored parasites. She immediately understood that the Mo siblings likely intended to cultivate these children into assassins, just as the elderly director had done with them. Before long, Mo Li approached Luo Xian again, proposing a condition: should Luo Xian relinquish her identity and flee overseas, Mo Li would visit the orphanage annually to administer the antidote to the children. Luo Xian had no choice but to acquiesce. However, as a condition of exchange, Molly agreed that upon their simultaneous departure abroad, she would implant a miniature heartbeat sensor beneath her arm's skin. If one day she were to perish, only then could Loxian return home and reclaim her identity. What transpired thereafter unfolded as Loxian had conveyed to the personnel of the Inguisi. Molly returned to the homeland, assuming Loxian's identity under the name Loxian E, thriving in the entertainment industry, and utilizing the musical manuscripts left by Loxian. She ascended to become a new generation's music diva. She sang, engaged in nefarious deeds, and lived quite comfortably. Each year, Molly visited the orphanage, not merely to emulate Loxian's prior existence, but primarily to administer medicine to the children. One could only say that in this era, every woman harbored a dream of stardom. Molly, now a 9-star assassin within the underworld, was no exception. She envied Loxian's beauty, coveted her martial prowess, resented her musical talent, and longed for the attention Loxian commanded wherever she went. Meanwhile, she remained forever concealed in the shadows, akin to a rat in a sewer, clutching wads of cash, yet devoid of happiness. She yearned to become Loxian, until she accepted the contract involving Lin Chun, which led to her untimely demise. After years of wandering abroad, Loxian finally set forth to return home. Upon hearing this, Lin Chun pondered and remarked, "I sympathize with your plight. However, after all you've said, I still don't understand why you sought me upon your return." Chapter 367. The Kind-Hearted Loxian? "The future is long with a faint smile," Loxian replied, "with Molly's death. Mo Yun is bound to go mad. Given Mo Yun's network, he likely already knows that Molly's last assassination target was you. He could very well have undergone facial reconstruction and be lurking in some corner of Badon County. You and those around you may have already become his targets." Lin Chun, contemplative, said, "So, you are leveraging the suspicion of Nguesi towards you to deliberately make a grand show of seeking me out, thereby indirectly prompting Nguesi to bolster protection for me, thus denying him the opportunity to act?" Loxian shook her head, saying, "Opportunities will certainly arise, but whether one can escape unscathed is uncertain." Lin Chun gazed at her intently and sincerely said, "You are a good person." Loxian chuckled self-deprecatingly. "I merely know that my time is limited, hence I wish to do one good deed before I depart this world." Suddenly, her eyes sparkled with intensity. "Another reason is that from your live broadcast, I suspect you have also attained true energy. I wish to engage in a grand battle before my demise, even in death. I would have no regrets." Lin Chun immediately recalled Loxian's earlier words about coming to seek death. He resolutely declined, "You may have no regrets. But I do not wish to face imprisonment for murder. Therefore, do not even think about this matter." Loxian momentarily faltered, then stated, "Mo Yun is also acceptable. It is time to settle our grievances, and I must extract the antidote for the poison from him." Lin Chun then said earnestly, "I have another question. Why don't you inform the Zhenensi or Nguesi about the situation? You must believe in their commitment to eradicate evil." Loxian shook her head. "Matters of the martial world should not involve the authorities, and neither Mo Yun nor Molly are ordinary individuals. Capturing them would undoubtedly result in numerous casualties. Furthermore, those children, I have spent many years abroad, and while I have attempted to eradicate the poison within them using modern medical means, all efforts have failed. If capturing Mo Yun fails, those children, deprived of their medicinal sustenance, will meet a tragic end." Lin Chun opened his mouth, but ultimately sighed internally. It was difficult to ascertain whether Loxian's decision was right or wrong. Many lives had already been sacrificed at the hands of the Mo siblings over the years to protect those 3 children and the potential casualties among the capture team. However, was it justifiable to exchange the lives of those 3 children for the life of an assassin? If every choice was flawed, one could only follow their heart. Of course, legally speaking, Loxian's actions would undoubtedly raise suspicion of withholding information. Lin Chun fell silent for a moment and asked, "But why did you kill Pei Shanshan?" Loxian rose, asserting, "I did not kill Pei Shanshan. However, if someone did, I believe it was to rid the world of a menace. I have heard that hiring a 9-star assassin from the underworld cannot be accomplished with money alone. One must possess sufficient points to qualify. This implies that Pei Shanshan had previously hired assassins multiple times and had taken many lives." Lin Chun smiled. "At this point, you need not conceal anything. If you did not kill Pei Shanshan, how do you know that she hired Molly to kill me?" Loxian laughed lightly. "Is that so? How do you know that Molly was hired by Pei Shanshan to kill you? By your logic, did you know Pei Shanshan had hired an assassin against you? So you then hired an assassin against her?" Lin Chun hesitated, stating, "Pei Shanshan's death was too coincidental. I merely guessed." Loxian regarded him with an intriguing gaze. "Guessing cannot serve as evidence. I have divulged everything you wish to know. Now it is your turn." She paused slightly, breathing somewhat heavily as she fixed her gaze on Lin Chun. "Which martial arts are you practicing? Your true energy has made the poison lurking within my organs recoil in fear, hastily emerging. Though she had vomited blood moments ago, which seemed alarming, it brought her an unprecedented sense of relief. In mere seconds, Nearly 30% of the poison within her had fled into the blood she expelled. After suffering from the torment of the poison for so many years, she had resigned herself to death, yet unexpectedly found a glimmer of hope for healing in Lin Chun. Lin Chun was equally astonished. Upon reflection, he surmised that perhaps his near-inborn true energy possessed a unique nature that inherently countered the malevolent poison within Loxian, thus yielding such results. He replied, "What martial arts? What true energy? Aren't those things confined to movies? I don't comprehend what you're saying. In matters of life and death." Loxian was evidently growing anxious. "How can you not understand? You clearly possess it." Lin Chun insisted, "These are merely conjectures and cannot be considered evidence. We are both exemplary youths of the new era. Let us embrace materialism and believe in science." Loxian could not help but become increasingly agitated. Lin Chun interrupted. "What about you? How can I trust someone who won't even admit to murder?" Loxian gritted her teeth. "Who would dare admit to murder without cause? Would you?" After a few changes in expression, Loxian stated, "Fine, I admit it." Lin Chun suddenly raised his hand. "Wait a moment." He took out a spare phone, activated the recording, and aimed it at Loxian. "You may now explain how you killed Pei Shanshan. The time, location, individuals involved, environment, methods, and psychological state. Every detail must be captured." Loxian was utterly dismayed. This young man intended to use the recording as leverage to control her in the future? Loxian's agitation escalated. No one wished for their life to be at stake. Loxian was no exception. After several internal struggles, she began to recount the details of her actions. Nearly 8 minutes later, Loxian finished recounting the entire process. Lin Chun prompted, "What about the murder weapon? Where is it now?" Loxian's expression darkened as she replied, "I didn't bring it back. I disposed of it in a local steel mill's furnace at the right opportunity." Lin Chun nodded in satisfaction and concluded the recording. He then turned and descended the stairs. Loxian immediately followed. "I have disclosed everything. When will you help me eliminate the poison?" Lin Chun, without looking back, responded, "You won't die anytime soon. There is plenty of time ahead." Loxian frowned. "When is this plenty of time?" Lin Chun casually replied while operating his phone, "It is simply plenty of time." As he spoke, he sent the previously recorded audio of Loxian detailing her grievances with the Mo siblings to Zhong Wenzhou. As for the video from earlier, Lin Chun hesitated for a moment and ultimately decided to retain it for himself. When the moment arrives that Luo Xian displeases him, he shall submit it then. His reluctance to promptly exorcise Luo Xian stems primarily from his uncertainty regarding the veracity of her claims. Should she harbor any secrets? It would render him foolish in the end if she were truly the villain. Thus, it would be prudent to allow Zhong Wenzhou to verify the authenticity of Luo Xian's information first. At the staircase entrance, upon seeing Lin Chun and his companion, the anxious Li Yuan and Xiao Shi immediately approached them. Lin Chun appeared calm and composed, as though he had everything under control. In contrast, Luo Xian resembled a disgruntled bride, casting a resentful gaze at Lin Chun's back. They exchanged glances, curiosity piquing within them about what had transpired between the two, especially after spending over half an hour together, leaving Luo Xian in such a state. Chapter 368. The Unlikely Pair of Women. "I am healing her." Xiao Shi regarded Luo Xian with a wary eye, assessing the dynamic between her and Lin Chun. Initially, she had feared Luo Xian might pose a threat to him, but now she felt that if Luo Xian intended harm, it would only serve to validate her own superiority. The woman was impeccably perfect, both in form and demeanor, a veritable pinnacle of beauty within the entertainment industry, rivaling the very best of Tang country. This left Xiao Shi feeling considerable pressure. Lin Chun, noticing the varied expressions of those around him, spoke lightly, "Li Yuan, there is nothing to concern yourselves with. You may leave." Li Yuan, his gaze fixed on Luo Xian, said nothing and departed with his companions. Luo Xian watched their retreating figures and smiled gently. "It seems your standing in the eyes of the Anghua division is even greater than I had imagined. That brings me some comfort." Xiao Shi raised an eyebrow. "What is Lin Chun to you that it gives you comfort?" She stepped forward, extending her hand. "Greetings." Luo Xian graciously accepted her handshake, replying, "Ms. Yi, it is an honor to finally meet you." Xiao Shi, surprised, remarked, "Is that so? We encountered each other at a music awards ceremony a year ago." Luo Xian smiled lightly. "Is that the case? I have a poor memory. Perhaps we did meet." Xiao Shi replied coolly, "I was merely jesting. In truth, we have never met." Luo Xian's lips curled into a smirk. "Then Ms. Yi ought to refine her acting skills and pay closer attention to details. Otherwise, it will be difficult to deceive anyone, particularly men." With a pointed glance towards Lin Chun, she emphasized her point. Xiao Shi smiled gracefully. "From your words, It seems you possess considerable experience in deceiving men. I must learn from you. Their eyes locked, a spark igniting between them. Lin Shun, feeling the tension, grinned and decisively excused himself to settle the bill. Ms. Yi was clearly attempting to ensnare Luo Xian. Had Luo Xian agreed with her jest, the situation would have become awkward. Was the animosity truly so palpable? Yet Luo Xian was no fool. They were indeed two exceptional talents, akin to two peas in a pod. After settling the bill, Lin Shen exited the hospital, followed by Yi Shaoxi and Luo Xian. They walked in the direction of the hotel for a brief moment. Yi Shaoxi glanced back at Luo Xian, who was trailing 2 meters behind, and quickened her pace to catch up to Lin Shen. Lowering her voice, she asked tersely, "What is she, a little dragon girl, doing following you? Honestly, what transpired between you two in the stairwell?" Lin Shen, bemused, replied, "What nonsense. What do you think I could possibly do? Ignore her. She simply wishes to request my assistance." Shaoxi was taken aback, unable to fathom what matter could compel Luo Xian to seek Lin Shen's aid in person, even at the risk of suffering injuries. She turned to glance at the coolly composed Luo Xian, feeling a surge of superiority. Did this woman truly believe herself to be a celestial being? Was this her method of soliciting help? Who could withstand such trials? Still, she did not understand Lin Shen. If she truly wished to seek his help, she ought to shower him with admiration in the live broadcast until he smiled, signaling that she was close to achieving her goal. At that moment, Lin Shen retrieved his live-streaming phone and, after unfolding it, prompted Xiao Ji to restart the live stream. As the live feed commenced, the already bustling barrage of comments erupted with even more fervor. Finally, the broadcast has started. "Lin Shen, why did you strike at Luanu Shun? Don't try to deny it. We all saw it. Luanu Shun is in dire straits. She was already in the emergency room and now has been struck and is bleeding profusely. Everyone, stop creating chaos." Lin Shen merely exchanged a light tap with Luo Xian. Is that really considered violence? I suspect Luo Xian is merely seeking attention. Who bleeds from such a light touch? Why is Luanu Shen following behind? Is she now trying to cling to Lin Shen? Seeing these comments, Lin Shen was taken aback. Hadn't the broadcast ended? How did the audience know about his interaction with Luo Xian? After scrutinizing the comments for a few seconds, he realized that a nurse who had assisted Luo Xian had leaked the information. He had noticed the nurse with her phone earlier, but had assumed she merely recognized Luo Xian and wanted a photo. He had not anticipated that she was a viewer of his stream. Lin Shen cleared his throat and stated seriously, "Everyone, please do not misunderstand. In truth, Luo Xian sustained severe internal injuries, and I was performing healing techniques on her." At this declaration, Luo Xian exhibited surprise. She had not expected Lin Shen to so candidly reveal the truth, considering he had always concealed his martial prowess. The comments in the live stream exploded instantly, though many had a peculiar tone. "Ha ha ha, Lin Shen's serious demeanor while telling tall tales is truly amusing. Seriously, performing healing techniques? Lin Shen, if you're going to fabricate stories, at least make them plausible. Forgive my ignorance, but isn't healing done in movies while sitting naked in a flower garden? I believe it. I too practiced healing techniques on my girlfriend, and she bled profusely. Is that true? I also helped my girlfriend with healing techniques, yet she never bled." Many viewers remained skeptical. In reality, a considerable number of the audience believed Lin Shen had some martial training, but the idea of performing healing techniques was indeed far-fetched. Furthermore, from the latest video clip uploaded by the nurse, it was evident that Lin Shen had merely exchanged a light tap with Luo Xian, the entire encounter lasting less than 3 seconds. Even if he possessed internal skills, could such a brief interaction yield results? Lin Shen looked at the snarky comments with a feeling of exasperation. When he urged them to believe in science, they thought he was lying. When he spoke the truth, they still thought he was deceiving them. Rolling his eyes, he declared, "I truly was healing her, believe it or not." Instantly, comments flooded in with phrases like "getting desperate." "Not even a dog believes it. The innocent will clear their name. Can't spin the tale any further." And was Luo Xian's hand comfortable? Suddenly, an audience member noticed that Luo Xian was trailing behind Lin Shen just a few meters away, igniting a fresh wave of excitement. Why is Luanu Shun following Lin Shen? There must be a story here. Lin Shen, you really can't escape this. What did you do in the past that caused Luanu Shun to travel all this way to confront you? They met and fought. And now she is following you like a lovesick puppy. Oh my, please, don't say that. I'm too emotional. I can almost imagine a grand tale of love and resentment unfolding. Luanu Shun's expression is so mournful. Lin Shen, just give her an explanation. You should take responsibility. Upon beholding the visage of the goddess Luo, I am reminded of my former love. Although she remains oblivious to my existence, I, much like the goddess, trailed after her daily. even hiding beneath her bed at night to keep her company in slumber. Why does the goddess Luo remain silent? Let her reveal what Lin has done. We shall advocate on your behalf. Do not inquire, for such questions only evoke a lingering sense of sorrow, a pain that renders one voiceless. Chapter 369. Lin completely liberates himself. His sister has been struck by lightning. Lin Chun's countenance darkened. If this matter is not clarified, it could escalate into scandal. He halted, awaiting Luo Xian's arrival, and said, "You explain it to them yourself." Luo Xian's exquisite features graced the livestream, igniting a frenzy in the comments. Countless messages of beautiful. Hurry and speak. What has Lin done to you? We shall advocate for you. Flooded the screen. Luo Xian opened her mouth, casting a subtle glance at Lin Chun before sighing gently. Please do not misunderstand. There is truly nothing between us. Today marks our first meeting. My previous request for an explanation was merely jest. Lin Chun nodded in agreement. However, Luo Xian's eyes suddenly glistened with unshed tears as she continued. Lin Gu said, "I am a good person," and then filmed a segment in the hospital stairwell. Lin Chun exclaimed, "What on earth are you doing?" While the events transpired as described, the phrasing felt decidedly amiss. Yi Xiaoxi observed Lin Chun with a look of incredulity. Her eyes conveyed a singular sentiment. I never anticipated you possessed such inclinations. The livestream comments erupted in chaotic excitement. What the heck? Has Lin completely lost it? After tormenting Schwerer all night, he now turns his attention to the goddess Luo, who has traveled such a distance. How could he? The goddess Luo has just entered the emergency room. The goddess appears to embody profound wisdom. Thus, I trust her words. How shameless. Not even sparing a patient. Lin, do you possess any semblance of morality or integrity? If so, present your evidence to prove your innocence. Lin, do you dare claim you have never been in a relationship? Recording in a stairwell is something only a novice would do. I only began after 5 years of marriage. The goddess Luo is utterly pitiable. I cannot fathom her plight. Surely she is frightened and unable to voice her thoughts. Lin Chun, utterly speechless, gazed at the comments and burst into laughter. Well, I am virtuous and unafraid of shadows. Since everyone wishes to see, I shall oblige. With that, he retrieved a spare phone, preparing to illuminate the screen. Upon his utterance, the comments exploded anew. What? Lin has gone mad. Is this for real? Is Lin truly so ruthless? Is this something I am meant to witness? Will it leave me with regrets? Lin is incredible. This live stream is veiled. Does he wish to delve deeper? Do not act impulsively. There is no need for such theatrics. If you genuinely wish to share, from my experience, simply obscure your face and upload it to a mysterious site. You will face no repercussions. Lin, wait. I must first secure the door and gather tissues and cooking oil. Cough. Suddenly, Luo Xian coughed, covering her mouth, blood staining her hands. With a tinge of crimson at the corner of her lips and a pallid expression, she remarked, "Let it be. After all, my days are numbered." Lin Chun was taken aback. You must be a graduate of Peking Opera. Your performance is far too authentic. This is not mere ketchup. How can you cough blood so effortlessly? He held his phone in silence, observing Luo Xian. The atmosphere grew somewhat awkward. Luo Xian, abandoning her act, quietly produced a tissue to clean her mouth and hands, smiling at the live stream. I was merely jesting. In truth, there is nothing amiss. As many of you know, I am an original music artist, and I greatly admire Lin's talent. My purpose in coming here was primarily to engage in musical collaboration. However, my health is indeed frail. I owe my gratitude to Lin for assisting me during my recent fainting spell. Her words, steeped in sincerity, resonated with the majority of the audience, who began to believe her. The earlier outbursts in the comments were largely playful antics. Lin Chun, a man of integrity, had previously turned away from Schwerer and, despite being surrounded by beautiful women, had maintained decorum throughout their interactions. No one would believe that he would act inappropriately towards Luo Xian, whom he had only just met. Consequently, the comments shifted to express concern for Luo Xian's well-being. She began to regale them with a pre-prepared tale of her childhood illness, which had eluded diagnosis. Lin Chun observed her unwavering demeanor as she spun her elaborate falsehood, feeling a sense of melancholy. Indeed, as old Master Jean had asserted, the more beautiful a woman, the more adept she is at deception. Seizing the moment, he leaned towards Xiao Ji, whispering, "Xiao Ji, ascertain how many are currently viewing my live stream in Baton County and infiltrate their phone cameras to observe their expressions." 2 seconds later, Xiao Ji reported, "Father, there are currently 93 viewers in Baton County, and I have successfully infiltrated their devices." Lin Chun inquired, "What are they doing? Are there any exhibiting unusual expressions or behaviors?" Xiao Ji replied, 10 individuals appear anomalous. Some are caressing their screens, others pouring pepper oil onto their hands, and a few are retrieving. Lin Chen hastily interrupted. Stop. What sort of individuals are these? While pouring cooking oil is understandable, what is with the pepper oil? The thought of people caressing their screens and pouring pepper oil during his live stream sent shivers down his spine. He pressed on. I wish to know if any among them exhibit extreme anger. Xiaoji paused before stating. None appear to be particularly enraged. Lin Chen furrowed his brow. At this juncture, he surmised the reason behind Luo Xian's earlier performance. It was likely a ploy to provoke Mo Yun, compelling him to reveal himself prematurely. This presupposes that Mo Yun harbors feelings for Luo Xian. Given her striking beauty, she must have been equally captivating in her youth. Their shared background as fellow apprentices further suggests that Mo Yun would have an affection for her. If he were indeed in Badong County, he would surely be monitoring their movements through the livestream. Witnessing Luo Xian's overtly theatrical display would undoubtedly evoke jealousy and ire within him. Yet, this raises a dilemma. If Mo Yun is enamored with Luo Xian, why did he not leverage the antidote to coerce her compliance? Instead, he chose to abduct Mo Li, allowing Luo Xian to endure torment at the hands of the venomous insects. Unless Mo Yun is seeking treatment for orthopedic issues in Germany. This uncertainty is one reason Lin Chen hesitated to fully trust Luo Xian's narrative. Conversely, if Mo Yun does not cherish Luo Xian and only possesses a simple loathing for her, then witnessing her candidly conversing in the livestream would likely disrupt his composure. Could it be that I have misjudged, and Mo Yun is not in Badong County at all? What if, pushing the boundaries of imagination, Luo Xian has fabricated many aspects, and Mo Yun is a mere figment of her imagination? Countless thoughts raced through Lin Chen's mind as he returned to the livestream, standing shoulder to shoulder with Luo Xian. Observing her conclude her tale of childhood illness, one that had long evaded diagnosis, he adopted a serious demeanor, gazing intently into the camera. Mo Yun, not only are you unsightly, but you are also wicked, hence your demise by lightning. Luo Xian. Yi Xiaoxi. Chapter 370. Mo Yun's Fury. Lin Chen requires a moment to recollect. Luo Xian's mouth fell slightly ajar, her eyes trembling in disbelief as she regarded Lin Chen. She likely discerned the intent behind his words. However, this is rather intense. She previously remarked that if Molly were to die, Mo Yun would surely go insane. Upon hearing these words, it seems he will descend into madness. Meanwhile, the live stream's chat erupted in a frenzy. What does Lin mean by that? Who is Mo Yun? I didn't miss anything in the plot. Why am I suddenly confused? Undoubtedly, Lin has a deep-seated grudge against Mo Yun, otherwise. Why would he so ruthlessly unearth old wounds? Is it true? Did someone get struck by lightning? When did this happen? Countless viewers were left in a state of bewilderment. At that moment, Lin Chen heard Xiaoji's voice in his ear. Dad. One of those 10 people is agitated, his face reflecting unusual anger. Lin Chen's eyes brightened, and he asked in a tone only he could hear. Who? The one pouring the Sichuan pepper oil. Lin Chen was taken aback. He quickly realized that Xiaoji was referring to the person pouring the oil onto his hands. Goodness, Sichuan pepper oil. How did you even come to that conclusion? It's evident that Mo Yun is indeed a formidable character. What kind of ordinary person would use Sichuan pepper oil? Then, he felt his backup phone vibrate. He took it out to find an address and a photo sent by Xiaoji, captured through his phone. It depicted an unremarkable man, and it was uncertain if he had undergone facial alteration. Pretending to receive a call, he said to the live stream, I need to take this call, and stepped aside to dial Zhong Wenzhou's number. The other end rang once before being picked up. Lin Chen stated directly, I have located Mo Yun, mentioned in the recording. Is there a sniper rifle available in Batang County? Zhong Wenzhou's breath quickened as he replied swiftly, yes. We previously dispatched a tactical team to Batang in preparation for Luo Xian. Not only do we have sniper rifles, but we even have rocket launchers. Lin Chen said, I will send you his current address and a photo. Ensure your team is cautious. He promptly ended the call and transmitted the address and photo. Unlike Luo Xian, he bore no psychological burden. Such professional tasks should be entrusted to specialists. After all, the Ministry of National Defense was established precisely for such matters. Moreover, in this era, even if Mo Yun had cultivated true energy, could he withstand a rocket launcher? Nevertheless, knowing Zhong Wenzhou, he would still strive to capture him alive to verify the recording's contents. Simultaneously, he needed to extract the antidote for the poison from Mo Yun. He then instructed Xiaoji, keep monitoring him. Inform me immediately if he changes locations. He returned to the front of the live stream and solemnly stated, Mo Yun, do you know why your sister died? It is because you both have committed too many wrongdoings. Even heaven could no longer tolerate it, resulting in a divine retribution that left you charred and sizzling. As soon as the words left his mouth, Xiaoji's voice reached his ears. Dad. He's angrier now. He even smashed the bottle of Sichuan pepper oil. Excellent. This thoroughly confirms that the Sichuan pepper man is indeed Mo Yun. Meanwhile, the viewers in the live stream were even more perplexed. Wow, Lin S' words are too harsh. What grudge does he hold? What does sizzling even mean? I'm trying to enjoy my lunch. Looking at Lin S' expression, it seems he is speaking the truth. Could there really be someone who has done so many bad deeds that they were struck by lightning? Don't scare me. I only sold a few thousand pairs of counterfeit shoes. I won't get struck, right? Don't scare me. I've only dealt with a few worn-out shoes. I want to be struck, right? Don't scare me. Although I deceived a couple of wealthy women, I gave the money to my wife. So if anyone is to be struck, it should be her, right? Don't scare me. I merely became stock partners with 2 friends behind my girlfriend's back. I want to be struck, right? Amidst the rolling comments, Xiaoji spoke again. Dad, he is starting to move. Lin Chen's heart tightened. And he whispered, is he coming to find me? Xiaoji replied, no, his hands are starting to move. He was moving while uttering unpleasant words. Lin Chen thought. In other words, at this moment, Mo Yun is watching the live stream as he begins to move. This person must truly be deranged if he can act out in front of anyone. For the first time since his arrival, Lin Chen felt a churn in his stomach and an urge to stop the broadcast. Such a person truly deserves divine retribution. He immediately turned to Luo Xian and said, you converse with the audience. I need a moment. Luo Xian looked bewildered. Huh? Oh. Although she was unsure why Lin Chen suddenly lashed out at Mo Yun and then asked her to take over the broadcast, she complied since she needed to assist him. Lin Chen promptly stepped out of the camera's view and began fervently reciting a high-level curse. The target of his curse, naturally, was Mo Yun. He wondered if this curse, aimed at what was likely a disguised visage, would be effective. The trio continued their journey towards the hotel. Yi Xiaoxi approached Lin Chen and asked, what were you doing just now? Who is Mo Yun that makes you loathe him so? Lin Chen, with a frown, replied, just a pervert. 2 minutes later, Xiaoji announced, Dad, he has given up. Lin Chen was taken aback. What do you mean he has given up? Xiaoji explained. He can't get up, so he has given up. Lin Chen was speechless. He then pondered and glanced back at Luo Xian, who wore a gentle smile while chatting with the live stream audience. Could this be the truth? Mo Yun cannot get up, knowing he can never truly possess Luo Xian. So he simply allowed her to perish all those years ago. Lin Chen recalled the elderly director of the orphanage, as Luo Xian had mentioned. That director was also incapable and childless. Could it be that the techniques of the Shadow Gate are only suitable for women? Do men, while practicing, become permanently impotent? Contemplating this, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. Perhaps even those we despise have their pitiable aspects. If the Sichuan pepper oil isn't potent enough, perhaps adding some Lao Gan Ma chili oil would yield better results. Dear Mo Yun. Again, Xiaoji's voice interrupted Dad. He is starting to pack his things and prepare to leave. Lin Chen's gaze sharpened. Finally, is he coming? Just then, his backup phone rang. Seeing it was Zhong Wenzhou, Lin Chen immediately answered. Zhong Wenzhou said, Lin bro, we have confirmed the identity through facial recognition. The true owner of that face is currently working at a construction site in Shuzhong City. He suffered an injury 2 days ago and is still hospitalized. The person in Batang County is almost certainly Mo Yun in disguise. We are already in motion and will arrive near the target location in 1 minute. Lin Chen replied, let us see your performance. After hanging up, Xiaoji continued, Dad, he has left the house, still watching your live stream. He got into an SUV, heading in the opposite direction. He is trying to leave the county. Chapter 371, Despairing, Mo Yun. The dust settles. Lin Chen furrowed his brows. Has this guy caught on to something? He instructed, send me the car's appearance and license plate number. Pulling out his phone, he glanced at the vehicle photo sent by Xiaoji and began to curse that car. In less than 5 seconds, Xiaoji exclaimed, the car has a broken axle and is now parked by the roadside. He has exited and stolen a motorcycle. Lin Chen immediately asked Xiaoji to send him the motorcycle's photo and license plate number. Xiaoji quickly infiltrated Batang County's traffic system and retrieved the photo via roadside cameras. Lin Chen glanced at the photo and began cursing the motorcycle. 2 seconds later, Xiaoji was astonished. The motorcycle has malfunctioned. He crashed it, but was uninjured. A pack of stray mastiffs by the roadside seems to have been startled and are suddenly attacking him. Upon hearing the last part, Lin Chen felt a wave of satisfaction. A pack of stray mastiffs attacking him simultaneously? It seems that no matter how Mo Yun disguises himself, as long as his location is confirmed, or rather, once he is identified as Mo Yun, Even without knowing his true appearance, the curse can still take effect. Could you project the surveillance footage onto my spare phone? Lin Chen inquired. Xiaoji responded affirmatively. Holding the spare phone, Lin Chen immediately saw a video window appear on the screen. From an overhead angle, it captured the scene of Mo Yun bravely battling a pack of dogs. The location was evidently the outskirts of Badong County. After a few seconds of observation, Lin Chen was entirely certain that the person in the footage was indeed Mo Yun. In the video, Mo Yun, equipped with a backpack, displayed remarkable agility, effortlessly delivering punches and kicks that sent a large mastiff flying several meters away, incapacitated. Such skill and strength were not attributes of an ordinary individual. However, it seemed that Mo Yun's situation was deteriorating. Although the surveillance footage was silent, it vividly depicted a growing number of stray mastiffs rushing into the frame, baring their teeth and launching frenzied attacks on Mo Yun. It was as if he had unwittingly stirred a hornet's nest. In fact, the number of stray mastiffs in the Sichuan region was considerable, with some areas teeming with them, resembling a gang in their imposing presence. Locals viewed mastiffs as beloved companions. Hence no one would deliberately hunt them, and even the local authorities found it difficult to intervene. Fortunately, these strays typically did not attack passers-by. However, exceptions existed, as evidenced by the previous encounter of Luo Xian with attacking mastiffs, as well as Mo Yun's current plight. When misfortune befalls a person, even dogs seem to take a disliking to them. The footage revealed several local residents, visibly startled by the unprecedented sight of so many mastiffs assaulting a single individual. None had witnessed anyone so fearless as to confront a pack of dogs alone. They dared not approach. Half a minute later, even Mo Yun began to falter under the relentless onslaught from all directions. A mastiff, nearly as tall as a person, leapt onto his back, sinking its teeth into his shoulder. Another dog seized the opportunity to bite into his calf. In a frenzy, Mo Yun suddenly convulsed. The video hinted at a turbulent air current as two large dogs were flung aside, their teeth shattered. However, before Mo Yun could catch his breath, more attacks came from every side. Lin Chen's expression turned peculiar. It was rather ironic that a king of the dark underworld might meet his end by dog bites. Suddenly, Mo Yun scattered a cloud of powder. The surrounding mastiffs swiftly became sluggish, many collapsing to the ground. Bruised and battered, Mo Yun stood still, gasping for breath. At that moment, he abruptly shifted his foot to the side. In the next instant, a splatter of blood erupted. Mo Yun's shoulder exploded, and his left arm was sent flying. Almost immediately, his left knee also burst open, the lower half of his leg blown away. Mo Yun's body was propelled by the tremendous force, flipping in midair, yet he managed to stand on one leg, defying the odds with his remarkable physical prowess. Streams of blood gushed from the wounds on his shoulder and knee. Despair etched across Mo Yun's face. Then came the sound, like thunderclaps in a clear sky. The booming noise resonated from the outskirts, reaching Lin Chen and the others. Luo Xian, who had been conversing with the audience in the live stream, suddenly changed her expression, looking toward the source of the sound with confusion. Others might dismiss it as mere firecrackers, but she was certain it was gunfire, a sound characteristic of high-caliber, long-range sniper rifles. Suddenly, a realization struck her, and she turned to Lin Chen with shock. Lin Chen glanced back, a knowing smile playing on his lips. The decline of ancient martial arts had its reasons. When faced with the formidable power of modern firearms, combined with the weight of misfortune, even the most formidable shadow warriors would meet their end. An unprecedented chill gripped Luo Xian's heart. Lin Chen pointed and closed the video window. There was no need to watch further. If Mo Yun could escape this, he would have to commend him. Next, they would await news from Zhong Wenzhou. The audience in the live stream was also taken aback. What was that sound? Thunder? I nearly dropped my phone. Who set off fireworks? I'm covered in sweat. Probably thunder. The weather in Sichuan is indeed peculiar. Sounds more like gunshots to me. Lin Chen finally relaxed. It had been a challenging start, but they had managed to secure a lead. If it was confirmed that Mo Yun was indeed the assassin, a death sentence was inevitable. With a grand gesture, he announced, "I suppose you're all hungry. Let us go eat." Without being particular about the location, he chose a small eatery by the roadside. While waiting for the dishes to arrive, Lin Chen called Li Xiao, learning that Shui Er was already awake, prompting him to invite them for lunch. As the dishes neared completion, two vibrant figures appeared at the restaurant entrance, Li Xiao and Shui Er. Lin Chen was slightly taken aback. It was merely lunch. Yet the two women were impeccably dressed, adorned with jewelry, and their hairstyles appeared meticulously arranged. Who were they dressing up for? Li Xiao and Shui Er approached Luo Xian, exchanging pleasantries, particularly Li Xiao and Luo Xian, both stars in the entertainment industry, one an actress, the other a singer. Their handshake and fleeting eye contact created a uniquely charged atmosphere. Once seated, silence enveloped the table, leading to an awkward tension. Lin Shun distinctly sensed the discomfort his companions felt towards Luo Xian. Even Yi Xiaoxi, who was adept at socializing, seemed disinterested in easing the atmosphere. Engrossed in fiddling with her teacup, Lin Shun felt overwhelmed. At that moment, Zhong Wenzhou called again. He informed them to continue eating while he stepped outside to take the call. Zhong Wenzhou, in a cheerful tone, announced, Mo Yun has been successfully captured and is currently being interrogated. This fellow was quite forthcoming, knowing his fate was sealed, and he confessed to everything he had done. Among the revelations was information concerning Luo Xian. According to his preliminary statements and our investigations from the orphanage, what Luo Xian said was indeed true. However, regarding the antidote to the poison, he has one request. He wishes to meet you and Luo Xian before divulging the information. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. The Inguisi was certainly ruthless. Mo Yun had already suffered grievous injuries, and they were eager to interrogate him. After a moment's contemplation, he asked, Where is he now? Zhong Wenzhou replied, At the Badong County Hospital. It's quite a commotion. He just left there not long ago, and now he must return. Lin Chen acknowledged this with a nod. Upon returning to the restaurant entrance, Lin Chen gestured for Luo Xian to join him outside. Luo Xian understood and followed him. Lin Chen briefly explained the situation regarding Mo Yun. Luo Xian's expression turned complex, yet she eventually nodded gently. Lin Chen suggested, Let us eat first. We can go after lunch. Upon returning to the restaurant, he noticed Li Xiao and the others looking at him with peculiar expressions. What's wrong? Lin Chen inquired. Li Xiao pointed to the live stream on his phone, saying, You should check the comments. With a hint of suspicion, Lin Chen sat down and glanced at the live stream. He was instantly astounded. Chapter 372, A Sincere New Contract. Shareholder Changes. Congratulations from all directions. The live stream comments were scrolling at an unprecedented speed. Lin Shun is incredible. Even the Caichi Kingdom has yielded. Haha. They were just saying they would impose sanctions on Lin Shun, and now they're saying it's just the personal opinion of the spokesperson, not the official stance. What a joke. I'm guessing someone from Caichi Kingdom has seen the transformed Xiaoji and is utterly shocked. It's truly absurd. But this is exactly the kind of thing Caichi Kingdom would do. They've done this before. What is wrong with self-reflection? For the sake of profit. I felt no shame. Initially, I found myself in a perplexing situation while negotiating a contract worth over 100 million. To put it bluntly, even a dog has more dignity than I did. Everyone, please take your seats. This is standard procedure. Who dares to challenge me? Lin Shin. Does the Flag Nation possess that kind of capability? Lin Shin paused momentarily, only to come to grips with the unfolding events. The Flag Nation had softened its stance. Just prior, they had issued a statement supporting the five-star group, hinting at punitive measures to protect intellectual property. Yet now, they were backtracking, claiming it was merely a personal opinion. Lin Shin pondered, as some comments suggested, that the Flag Nation had likely seen relevant images and videos, raising suspicions about his development of anti-gravity technology. One could only imagine the shock resonating within the Flag Nation. In comparison, the anti-gravity technology possessed by the Flag Nation was akin to an archaic computer, limited in power, yet occupying an entire room. In contrast, his technology resembled a highly integrated desktop computer. The two were incomparable. It was likely that the Flag Nation had recognized their disparities. Furthermore, the carefully nurtured Shijian Xiang Huayo had been captured, which must have exerted considerable pressure on the Flag Nation from Tang Country. Therefore, they were compelled to alter their rhetoric. However, Lin Shin sensed that the Flag Nation's desire to eliminate him and acquire his technology had intensified. He smiled at the camera and remarked, If they wish to change their statements, so be it. Regardless of how the Flag Nation evolves, I shall remain steadfast. Let me reiterate, my inventions and patents will not appear in any products from the Flag Nation or the Mida Nation, nor will they be exported to these two countries. Upon uttering these words, the comments erupted, with countless messages of admiration flooding in. For a long time, Tang Country had faced various technological blockades from abroad, yet now, the tables had turned. At that moment, Yi Xiaoxi suddenly stood up to take a phone call outside. Upon her return, her excitement was palpable. She produced a portable tablet, tapped a few times, and presented it to Lin Chen. Confused, he accepted it and glanced through it, his eyes widening in surprise as he turned to Yi Xiaoxi with a questioning look. In a hushed tone, she urged, Sign it. I just reviewed the contract. There are no issues. Lin Chen looked back at the tablet, unable to suppress his astonishment. This was an electronic contract for a change in equity. The essence of it stated that his shares in the Quafu Group had shifted from 36% to 51%. This meant that his personal equity and the government's holdings had effectively swapped. His mind raced. This was surreal. The change in shares was no longer merely a financial matter. It altered the Kwafu Group from being under government control to becoming a privately held entity. While it was not unheard of for the government to invest in private enterprises, such a shift in a company involved in military technology like Kwafu Group was unprecedented. In a daze, Lin Xin recalled the two phrases conveyed by Zhong Wenzhou during their morning phone call. A national hero is unparalleled. The country will not neglect its meritorious subjects. He had anticipated some form of compensation, yet he never envisioned such a monumental gesture, an unprecedented breaking of precedent. The higher-ups were expressing their trust in him and compensating for previous doubts in this manner. This was the essence of national spirit. Lin Xin scrutinized the tablet further and discovered additional clauses that introduced certain constraints and increased the government's voice in decision-making, meaning he could not achieve absolute control in a true sense. Nevertheless, if this contract were to be made public, it would undoubtedly astonish all of Tang country. Feeling a surge of emotion, he completed the facial recognition and signed his name in the designated area. With that signature, his wealth skyrocketed once again. He returned the tablet to Yi Xiaoxi, who beamed at the signature before sending the document. As she looked at Lin Xin, her eyes sparkled with admiration. Meanwhile, Lin Xin glanced at the comments section, where countless viewers had noticed his unusual demeanor and were clamoring to know what he had just signed. Knowing it wouldn't be long before the information about the equity change would appear on the Tianyan platform, Lin Xin candidly stated, "It's nothing much. Just a change in the share distribution of the Kwafu Group with the government." Upon hearing this, the comments exploded. Wow, is that really nothing? If I'm not mistaken, on Tianyan, the government held 51%, so this change means Lin Xin has absolute control now. I'm stunned. Does this mean the Kwafu Group will now be entirely under Lin Xin's command? Don't ask, it's a state secret. We're talking about a fortune worth trillions. Lin Xin is incredible, holding so many shares. Unlike me, even with both hands in my mouth, I could only manage a few shares. Please, let us be realistic. Having any shares is already impressive. I'm nearly 30 and have never held shares. Just watching the fluctuating stock curves on my computer, closing the door, and being a mere spiritual shareholder. Lin Xin must distribute a significant red envelope. Red envelopes. Red envelopes. Just as the barrage of comments clamored for Lin Xin to distribute red envelopes, a message appeared. Rin Xianli from Ju Factory has sent 888 carnival gifts. Rin Xianli from Ju Factory stated, "Congratulations. Congratulations. Xiaoxi can be a bit temperamental at times. Please bear with her, Lin Zong." As the gift and comment appeared, the comments section erupted with excitement. Yi Xiaoxi squealed, "Grandpa." Lin Xin chuckled, "Ren Lao, you flatter me. Sister, she is quite wonderful in every aspect." Yi Xiaoxi cast a flirtatious glance at Lin Xin. At that moment, another message chimed in. Guangdi Factory's Gu Zhang has sent 888 carnival gifts. Li Buwei from Dayu Group has sent 888 carnival gifts. Lin Zong is amazing. One after another, corporate presidents qualified to invest in the Kwafu Group emerged. Lin Xin was taken aback. These executives were likely watching his live stream closely, with funds already deposited in their accounts, ready to send gifts upon hearing the news. With a smile, he expressed gratitude. "Thank you all. The future of the Kwafu Group depends on everyone's support. Let us learn and develop together." He decided to reciprocate by using the gifts from the executives to distribute red envelopes to his viewers. He instructed Xiao Ji to issue 20,000 red envelopes, each worth 500 yuan, to be sent out over 3 minutes. This amounted to another 10 million, although for Lin Xin, it was merely a drop in the bucket. As he considered the finances, Lin Xin couldn't help but wonder how Xiao Ji's operations were faring. Had there been another significant impact on the Flag Nation's stock market last night? He would inquire later. After the red envelopes were distributed, the live stream buzzed with discussion. Many viewers speculated that this equity change was likely linked to Xiao Ji's upgrade. Believing the higher-ups were astute enough to recognize the value of such impressive technology and that more shares were justified. Just as Lin Xin and his team finished their lunch and prepared to settle the bill, suddenly Weiyuan Zaijin has sent 1,000 carnival gifts. The moment the barrage of comments and gifts appeared, many new viewers were left bewildered. Who is this person? Their contribution amounts to 2,000 carnival tokens, which is equivalent to 6 million Tang country currency. Meanwhile, the old viewers erupted in excitement. Wait, isn't this the guy who won the lottery last time? Who said he broke up due to being pressured by high bridal prices? What was that song called? He the one who won with the girl told me, right? Wow. Has he struck it rich? Is it really him? Is a song from Lin worth that much? This guy knows how to play the game. Did he manage to recoup the money he spent on the song? Lin Chun was somewhat astonished and inquired, "Brother, what is your story?" A few seconds later, the user "No chance to see you again" replied, "I sold your song for 5 million, then used that to invest in stocks with some leverage. I've made a bit of profit in the past few days, and I'm cashing out now. With the remaining money, I plan to open a renovation company back in my hometown and live a stable life. Thank you, Lin. Without you, I might have just lived my life like this." Upon hearing this, the live chat exploded once more with myriad comments. Some expressed their admiration, others their envy. While others inquired about his ex-girlfriend and whether they had reconciled, "No chance to see you again" indeed responded, "After my ex and I broke up, she got engaged to someone she met through matchmaking. Now that she knows I have money, she wants to reconcile, and I initially agreed. But then her mother raised the bridal price significantly, and I refused, breaking up decisively. Now they are demanding $1 million in compensation for lost youth." This revelation sent the chat into a frenzy. How outrageous. This mother-daughter duo sees him as an ATM. What a joke. So a woman's youth is valued, but a man's is merely a tool for making money? I can understand my ex wanting compensation, but why is her mother demanding it too? Honestly, getting married nowadays is a challenge. The last girl I met had 8 or 9 demands, as if I were a genie granting wishes. I only asked that my future mother-in-law be a virgin, and she couldn't handle it, immediately fell apart. On such topics, Lin Chun found it difficult to comment. He could only reflect that everyone has their own stance and considerations, and whether one can accept the other's viewpoint is ultimately a matter for both parties. If their values do not align, it is best not to force a union. There is no need to generalize. The world is vast, and not everyone is like that. In cases like this guy's ex-girlfriend, if she cannot find someone who meets her requirements as she ages, she will naturally lower her standards over time. If even then she cannot find a partner, ultimately she may end up in a nursing home, leaving her assets to her relatives, or even donating them to society. Such choices are hers alone. After settling the bill, they made their way to the hospital in Badong County. Observant viewers noticed they were heading in the wrong direction and quickly sent messages to alert them. Lin Chun stated, "The direction is correct. I need to visit someone at the hospital. It's not convenient to stream, so I'll turn it off for a bit when we enter. It shouldn't take long. I appreciate your understanding." This announcement caused the chat to erupt once more, with some protesting the end of the stream while others speculated about who had been hospitalized this time. As they walked, Xiaoji suddenly said, "Dad, the 5-star group just wrapped up a board meeting, and you were mentioned." Lin Chun raised an eyebrow, refraining from speaking and vaguely asking, "Was it chaired by Zheng Peina? What was discussed?" Xiaoji replied, "Zheng Peina proposed issuing a more tactful statement that indirectly acknowledges the previous error, asserting that you did not appropriate their designs. She presented a screenshot from your live stream this morning, indicating that if Qua Fu Group truly possesses anti-gravity and next-generation energy technologies, which leads to 5-star group facing a technological blockade, it would have immeasurable repercussions on their global market. She believes 5-star group should actively engage with you and Qua Fu Group to foster collaboration, aligning more with their interests." Lin Chun silently nodded. At last, 5-star group had someone with a clearer mind. Xiao Ji continued. However, her proposal faced overwhelming opposition from most board members and ultimately went nowhere. This outcome did not surprise Lin Chun. Zheng Peina was overly idealistic. 5-star group, as a top conglomerate in Midwa country, had transcended mere business interests and now involved national considerations. Any significant decision made by 5-star group must take into account not only the image of Midwa's government and its citizens, but also the sentiments of Chichi country. With various interests entangled, it was beyond Zheng Peina's limited influence to reverse the situation. It was a pity. Lin Chun then inquired, "By the way, what is the status of the 5-star group's product line?" Xiaoji reassured him, "You need not worry, Dad. Over 50% of 5-star group's critical production equipment worldwide has gone offline. They expect severe product shortages within a week, and if unresolved, they will face substantial claims. The recent meeting primarily discussed this issue, and they suspect a hacker attack, preparing to seek assistance from Chichi country." Lin Chun scoffed inwardly. Now that trouble had arisen, they thought of Chichi country. With this mindset, there was no reason to harbor any illusions about 5-star group. He then asked, "How's the stock market doing? Did we make a significant profit last night?" Upon hearing this, Xiao Ji's voice turned resentful. "Last night was a miss. We only made just over 100 billion. Our capital is too massive and has attracted attention from many large institutions who banded together to target us last night, forcing me to cut losses with only 100 billion from Maining Group. Tonight, I must reclaim our losses." Lin Chun was left speechless. What a ridiculous notion. Only making just over 100 billion. Such a typical mindset that sees lesser earnings as losses. Moreover, Why was Xiao Ji suddenly fixated on Mainan Group? Chapter 374. The reason for targeting Mainan Group. Lin Chen asked quietly, "What is up with Mainan Group that has you suddenly focused on them?" Xiao Ji replied, "Isn't the case of Zhuang Rongxing murdering his wife and children resolved? Mainan Group's electric vehicles are trending due to brake issues. Although they issued a clarification, it still impacted the market, and I took the opportunity to fan the flames. Additionally, Mainan Group has set their sights on you, Dad." Lin Chen's brow furrowed with concern. "What do you mean?" Xiao Ji huffed. "Since Five Star Group accused you of design appropriation, Mainan Group has officially taken notice of you. They initially intended to contact you directly to confirm whether you truly possess advanced energy technology. However, following the statements from Chi Country and the External Propaganda Department, along with your firm stance in the live stream, they abandoned that idea. Instead, they plan to infiltrate the Guandi factory to acquire relevant technology." Lin Chen was taken aback. Was corporate espionage truly this deep, even between nations? Xiao Ji explained, "To advance in the new energy sector, Guandi Factory has recruited a significant number of talents, including some senior engineers poached from Mainan Group at high salaries. Among them are individuals receiving dual salaries from both Guandi Factory and Mainan Group, ready to seize any opportunity. This time, Mainan Group has already contacted 2 spies embedded within Guandi Factory, intending to steal technology as soon as Guandi Factory begins production of thermal semi-fluid batteries. In fact, aside from Mainan Group, Guandi Factory has several high-ranking engineers of Chi and Midwa nationalities who have also received secret directives from their respective countries, lured by substantial rewards." Lin Chen was speechless. So, Guandi Factory was practically crawling with spies? However, one cannot entirely blame the Guandi Factory. As Xiaoji mentioned, over the past 7 to 8 years, the factory has made remarkable breakthroughs in the field of renewable energy, largely due to the recruitment of numerous top talents from across the globe. The presence of spies among these individuals is, indeed, an unavoidable circumstance. The management at Guandi is not naive. They must have anticipated such situations and devised relevant countermeasures. Otherwise, it would be inexplicable that after the introduction of their unique blade battery, no foreign manufacturer has yet produced a comparable product. Lin Chen murmured, "Have the materials on those spies and relevant evidence been organized? Send them to me." The next moment, he felt his backup phone vibrate gently. Indeed, Xiaoji's efficiency remained as steadfast as ever. He then hesitated for a moment before preparing to dial the chairman of Guandi, Gu Zhang. However, he reconsidered and decided to contact Zhong Wenzhou instead. After all, even if spies were involved, this was an internal matter for Guandi. As an outsider, his interference might be superficially appreciated by Gu Zhang, but the chairman could harbor unspoken doubts. It would be rather odd for Lin Chen, an outsider, to possess a better understanding of Guandi's situation than its chairman. Thus, it was wiser to handle the matter through old Zhong. When the call connected, Lin Chen succinctly laid out the situation. Zhong Wenzhou's voice turned icy. "The Mayan Group is indeed extending its reach. Very well, send me the materials, and I will handle it." After hanging up, Lin Chen forwarded the organized information from Xiaoji. After a brief walk, they finally arrived at the hospital in Badong County. Lin Chen keenly observed that plainclothes security personnel were stationed around the hospital, maintaining vigilance. He then informed the audience in the live stream, closing it down. Li Yuan was already waiting in the lobby on the first floor. Upon seeing Lin Chen, he immediately stood up and led the way. Ascending to the 3rd floor, they reached an intensive care unit. The adjacent rooms had been cleared. Outside the ward, uniformed security personnel were stationed, armed and alert. Upon Lin Chen's arrival, they saluted in unison and opened the ward door. Lin Chen paused his steps, addressing Li Ziao and the others. "Only Luo Xian and I will enter. You all wait outside." Observing the gravity of the situation, Li Ziao and the others refrained from asking further questions. As Lin Chen and Luo Xian entered the ward, they immediately spotted Mo Yun lying on the hospital bed. He had just undergone a simple suturing procedure. His shoulder and broken leg were wrapped in bandages, and he was hooked up to N4. His face had returned to its original state, which was not much more appealing than the disguise he had worn, bearing a common visage marred by a prominent scar on the left side. His intact left hand and foot were now adorned with rose gold bracelets, secured with leather cuffs. Within the ward, for security personnel stood guard, weapons at the ready, their eyes fixed unwaveringly on Mo Yun. Clearly, they recognized his potential danger. Even in his severely weakened state, they remained vigilant. Sensing Lin Chen and Luo Xian's arrival, Mo Yun slowly opened his eyes, his consciousness returning, and his gaze fixed directly on Luo Xian. Li Yuan leaned closer to Lin Chen, whispering, "This guy is indeed formidable." He insisted on no anesthetic during the suturing. not a flicker of emotion on his face. Lin Chen thought to himself, someone who could endure the pain of using Sichuan pepper oil for spicy chicken cubes must be quite ruthless. Luo Xian gazed at the bedridden Mo Yun, her expression complex. Senior brother, I am here. If you have anything to say, please do. Mo Yun grinned. The old man was indeed correct. You are truly the most talented among us three. Knowing you are alive brings me comfort. He then turned his gaze to Lin Chen, and his tightly bound right arm bulged with veins, the leather creaking ominously. His eyes suddenly blazed with intense malice. You killed my sister. Lin Chen earnestly explained. She truly died from being struck by lightning. At that moment, Li Yuan interjected, I can testify. I was the one who retrieved her body on site. He then recalled something, pulled out his phone, opened a photo from the scene, and stepped closer to the bed to show it to Mo Yun. Mo Li's body is currently preserved in this hospital's morgue. If you truly doubt it, I can arrange for them to bring her body here for identification. Mo Yun stared at the photo of the charred and still smoking remains, momentarily frozen. Then, his body began to tremble, a wave of intense heat radiating from within him. The bandages around his wounds rapidly became stained with blood. Veins bulged on his face, and the onlookers were taken aback. The four security personnel immediately trained their weapons on Mo Yun. With bloodshot eyes, Mo Yun fixed his gaze on Lin Chen, hissing, It was you. You are the one who caused her death. Why didn't you let her kill? If you died, she would not have died. Lin Chen stared at Mo Yun in disbelief. Such a distorted worldview was bewildering. He could hardly muster the energy to engage. With a roar, Mo Yun ground his teeth. Gasping for breath, the veins on his face receding, finally quieting down. Luo Xian calmly stated, Senior brother, I've always had one question. Why didn't you save me back then? Mo Yun chuckled, an intricate expression on his face, because Lily has always despised you. She is my only kin in this world. If she wished for your death, I had no choice but to comply. Luo Xian furrowed her brows. Lin Chen interjected. Xiao Yun, you must have feelings for Luo Xian, right? Is it that you feel unworthy of her, and not wanting anyone else to have her? You chose to fulfill Mo Li's wish instead? At this remark, Mo Yun's expression stiffened, and his scar twitched violently. He fixed Lin Chen with a murderous glare. I did not. Lin Chen replied emphatically, No, you did. I saw you pour Sichuan pepper oil onto your hands. Mo Yun was struck as if by lightning. His eyes wide in disbelief as he stared at Lin Chen. Chapter 375, Mo Yun's Fate. The elegy of Hitang Luo Xian blinked in confusion, asking, What is Sichuan pepper oil? Lin Chen could not help but chuckle. Ah, you mean the Sichuan pepper oil? A look of terror crossed Mo Yun's face as he shouted. Stop talking. I will tell you everything. Whatever you want to know, I will reveal it all. He then hurriedly recited the formula for the antidote to the venomous insects. Following that, he began to recite the techniques of the Shadow Gate martial arts he had practiced. Li Yuan and the other security personnel exchanged puzzled glances. They could not comprehend this sudden turn of events. Previously, to ensure a smooth interrogation, they had administered tranquilizers and special substances designed to elicit truth-telling. However, Mo Yun had stubbornly clamped his teeth shut, refusing to divulge the antidote, prompting them to escalate the matter. Yet now, with just a mention of Sichuan pepper oil, Mo Yun had become desperate. Lin Chen sighed, casting a deep, compassionate glance at Mo Yun, who was pleading with his eyes. Mo Yun's love for Luo Xian ran profoundly deep. This was perhaps a real-life manifestation of the saying, to remain pure in a world of sin. Through his insight, Lin Chen had fully grasped Mo Yun's inner turmoil. As he had surmised, the Shadow Gate techniques were flawed, adversely affecting the bladder meridian, causing certain areas to wither and shrink. Even medication proved ineffective. Only through extraordinarily intense stimulation could there be a fleeting response, yet it was hardly reliable. For someone like Mo Yun, who had cherished feelings for Luo Xian since childhood, this was excruciatingly cruel and despairing, leading to a convoluted emotional conflict. Ultimately, when his sister Mo Li proposed abandoning Luo Xian, he chose to stand by as Luo Xian succumbed to the poison within her. Thus, he could finally let go of this emotional burden. Nevertheless, Luo Xian remained the sacred ground deep within his heart, a place that could never be desecrated. This was true in the past, and it remains so today. Even in death, he wished to shield Luo Xian from the knowledge of his own flaws and shortcomings. Seeing that Mo Yun was perceptive, Lin Chen chose not to reveal any further secrets. After listening to Mo Yun recite the technique, Lin Chen attempted to practice it, and quickly discerned that there was indeed an issue. If there were no surprises, the ancestor who created this qi cultivation method was likely a woman. However, with slight modifications, it could be adapted for male practitioners. Unfortunately, Mo Yun lacked the skill to do so. Lin Chun could easily see that Mo Yun had not actually cultivated true qi. Rather, he had merely refined the rudimentary blood-moving technique passed down from the Shadow Gate to its utmost limit in this era, which had resulted in the earlier shocking scene where he unleashed a burst of energy strong enough to send the hound flying off him. Such explosive power, however, would shorten one's lifespan with repeated use. Given Mo Yun's physical condition, even if he were not caught, he would succumb to exhaustion of his life force within 5 years. After he finished discussing the technique, Lin Shin felt that he had no further business here and said, "You all continue your discussion. I shall take my leave." He then turned and exited the hospital room. Li Ziao and the others immediately approached, their expressions filled with curiosity. Lin Shin pondered for a moment and briefly recounted Luo Xian's past and the reason for her visit. He also mentioned the assassination attempt on him that night. The three of them were utterly astonished. They had no idea that Lin Chun had faced an assassination attempt without their knowledge. Even more surprising was the convoluted reason behind Luo Xian's visit. Despite a mysterious poison eroding her life from within, she had still come to aid Lin Chun. Though, in the end, it was not her affair. The sentiment was truly touching. Yi Xiaoxi sighed and remarked, "It seems we have all misjudged her." Li Ziao and Xue Er nodded in agreement, their expressions complex. At that moment, the hospital door swung open and Luo Xian emerged. Everyone turned to look at her. Lin Chun said, "Now that you have the antidote, you can finally rest easy." Upon hearing this, Luo Xian realized that Lin Chun had shared her matters with Yi Xiaoxi and the others. A faint smile graced her lips as she declared, "I have decided to join the Ingguo division." Lin Chun was momentarily taken aback, but nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of relief. With her joining the Ingguo division, it was likely she would no longer be competing for popularity against him. Luo Xian, upon hearing this, cast a cool glance at Yi Xiaoxi and the others, a slight smirk appearing at the corners of her mouth. "What? Are you so afraid I will cling to you like they do?" Yi Xiaoxi's brows furrowed in annoyance. "What kind of talk is that?" Luo Xian shot her a disdainful glance before turning her serious gaze back to Lin Chun. "Before I leave, I will challenge you to a duel." Without waiting for Lin Chun's response, she brushed past everyone and walked towards the elevator. Lin Chun helplessly watched Luo Xian's retreating figure. What era was it? And yet she still thought of battling? Besides, given her stature, who could she possibly contend with? If she truly provoked him, he could easily crush her with a single swipe. Just as she reached the elevator, Luo Xian suddenly turned around and asked, "By the way, what's the deal with the Sichuan pepper oil? Why was she still fixated on this?" Lin Chun chuckled, "I'll tell you once you defeat me." Luo Xian smirked and entered the elevator. As the doors closed, Yi Xiaoxi frowned and commented, "Though I sympathize with her plight, she really is quite unlikable." Li Ziao and Xue Er nodded in agreement. Li Ziao then turned and asked, "Do you like her?" Lin Chun shook his head seriously. "She's too arrogant." "I don't like her." This answer evidently satisfied the three of them. At that moment, Li Yuan emerged from the hospital room. Lin Chun contemplated and walked over to Li Yuan, saying, "Please inform old Zhong that the qi cultivation method Mo Yun mentioned has issues. It could cause sterilization for men. I'll think of a way to modify it and send it to him later." Hearing the term sterilization, Li Yuan's expression changed, and he nodded vigorously. Lin Chun then inquired, "What will ultimately happen to Mo Yun?" Li Yuan lowered his voice and replied, "He will surely face the death penalty." Lin Chun nodded, saying nothing further. Such a conclusion was expected. He had brought this upon himself, and there was nothing more to discuss. Patting Li Yuan on the shoulder, Lin Chun called for Li Ziao and the others to leave the hospital. He then instructed Xiao Ji to resume the live broadcast. "Here we go again. Lin God, have you seen the news? He Tang is hospitalized again. Where is Goddess Luo? Who did she visit in the hospital?" Upon seeing the rapidly scrolling comments, Lin Chun was momentarily taken aback. He explained, "Luo Xian had something to attend to and left early. There's no need to worry about her." He then couldn't help but chuckle. "He Tang is hospitalized? That's splendid news." As soon as this was said, the audience erupted in laughter. "What a great thing. Lin God, you're being utterly transparent. This is hilarious. It's Lin God's turn to kick someone while they're down. I work at a certain hospital in the deep city. Insiders say He Tang has been infected with a mysterious bacteria, suffering from severe diarrhea. And no medication has helped. It's not just a simple case. He has expelled part of his intestines." "What? Is that for real? Diarrhea can cause someone to lose their intestines?" "I'm studying medicine. Such cases do exist, though they are rare. It's called intestinal prolapse, requiring surgical intervention to pull the intestines back and repair the weakened sphincter." Seeing the barrage of comments about He Tang losing part of his intestines, Lin Chun was shocked, yet felt a tinge of guilt. The advanced hex indeed held substantial power. If the esteemed leader of the Jiesun were to die from diarrhea, it would certainly be a tragic end. Just then, a voice from Xiaoji broke through his thoughts. Daddy, Zheng Peina just boarded a flight from Mita Country to Shu China International Airport, and she is watching your live stream on her phone. Lin Chen was taken aback. What was Zheng Peina, this scapegoat, up to? Did she intend to confront him? Did she think that by coming to Sichuan, they could reach an agreement? That was quite a fanciful notion. He didn't dwell on it further. If she wanted to come, let her come. It was none of his concern. The four of them returned to the hotel, quickly packed their belongings, and checked out. They set off once again. Moments later, just as they were about to exit the city of Baton County, the comments section exploded. Lin God, something big has happened. Chapter 376, in Sichuan. Trouble descends from the heavens. If there is an issue, Luo Xian will take the lead. Lin Chen glanced at the live stream and immediately saw a comment that caught his attention. What had happened now? Focusing intently, he saw a flurry of related comments flooding the screen. Ran Zhun is in dire straits. He failed to challenge Ties and suffered severe intracranial hemorrhaging after just one round. And he may become a vegetable. Ties has been taunting, claiming that Tangwa's martial arts are all fake and has explicitly named you, Lin God, challenging the masters of Tangwa's martial arts. He is even willing to come to Sichuan in person. In Sichuan, trouble descends from the heavens. What does this have to do with Lin God? Lin God, don't be fooled. Ties is from the colorful Flag Nation and is a world-class middleweight champion. An absolute boxing king. His sudden challenge is surely malicious, aiming to take you down. Boxing kings are not easily dealt with. I suspect my wife is a boxing king as well. She always attacks my lower body fiercely, and when she gets mad, she even bites me. I can't retaliate. And I end up covered in white. Indeed, this is undoubtedly a conspiracy from the colorful Flag Nation. You must not agree. If you get killed, I want to get to see the grand scenes with De Yi, De Song, and De Luo Xian. After reading the comments, Lin Chen felt somewhat bewildered. Just as some comments suggested, what did this have to do with him? Was it merely because Ran Zhun had once challenged him and was defeated by the #1 soldier? This seemed far-fetched. Moreover, when had he become a representative of Tangwa's martial arts? Due to his act of kicking a four-wheeler, single-handedly confronting the formidable Long Yaowu and the drunken Cloud Dragon gang, crushing alloy business cards, and smashing cobblestones with his head. One might wonder if this truly signifies mastery in martial arts. Upon reflection, it seems to hold some merit. However, it is also quite audacious of Ran Zhun to challenge the boxing champion Ties right after having his teeth knocked out in Zhengyao County. While it may sound trivial, the situation is not easily manageable. Ties is not merely targeting him, but rather the entire martial arts community of Tangwa. Should he refrain from engaging in battle, it would undoubtedly lead to extensive publicity and ridicule, tarnishing not just his reputation, but also adversely affecting his popularity. Yet, on reconsideration, the predicament may not be as dire as it appears. One might simply allow old Zhong or other seasoned warriors who have previously mastered the blood circulation technique to take the stage. Given their current prowess, toppling a world boxing champion should pose no significant challenge. With this thought, Lin Chen smiled and reassured everyone, stating that there was no need for such anxiety. The situation was not as grave as they perceived. Firstly, everyone knows that he is merely a walking live streamer, reliant on the generosity of his viewers, and does not represent Tangwa martial arts. Even if Ties were to defeat him, it would not signify much. Furthermore, Tangwa is home to a plethora of talented individuals, and true martial arts experts abound. He firmly believed that someone would undoubtedly rise to the occasion and demonstrate the essence of Tangwa martial arts to Ties. Suddenly struck by an idea, he shifted his tone to a serious note, declaring that he would not speak for others, but Luo Xian was indeed formidable. After surviving such a severe car accident without a scratch, her exceptional skills were evident, and with her expertise in Qigong, defeating Ties should be well within her capabilities. Upon uttering these words, he could not help but grin. Since Luo Xian relished fighting, he would find a strong opponent for her. The barrage of comments erupted in chaos. Their reactions ranged from disbelief to amusement, with many expressing sympathy for Luo Xian, highlighting the absurdity of Lin Chen's remarks. They speculated about the history between Lin Chen and Luo Xian, suggesting a deep-seated animosity, while others playfully suggested they should harmonize their talents as musicians. Upon noticing Luo Xian's fiery comments in the livestream, Lin Chen chuckled, noting her indignation. He remarked that if she was unwilling, their previous agreement was henceforth void. This statement left countless viewers perplexed, while Luo Xian seethed with anger, realizing Lin Chen intended to use her as a pawn. If she did not first deal with Ties, there would be no fight between them. She promptly responded in the comments, vowing to confront him later, even if it cost her life. As Lin Chen continued, he dismissed Luo Xian's outrage, believing she had become somewhat inflated with pride, mistakenly thinking her recovery granted her the right to challenge him. While he was open to the idea of letting her face ties, he understood the implications of such a precedent, fearing it might invite more challengers in the future. Having Luo Xian as a shield was advantageous, and he envisioned her flourishing as a martial arts star in the future. Amidst the ongoing discussions in the comments, Lin Shun explained that they were merely jesting, reassuring viewers that Luo Xian was indeed capable of handling ties with ease. This assertion shifted the focus of the comments, with many expressing curiosity about Luo Xian's true abilities. Continuing on, Lin Shin announced their next destination, Mancon County, located approximately 100 kilometers from Badong County. He described the route, noting that aside from an initial stretch of asphalt, the road conditions were poor, with numerous landslides and rockfalls. They would traverse the Jinsha River Bridge, entering the Zong region, and emphasized that Mancon County was the first city they would encounter upon entering that area. Given their late start, he anticipated needing to find accommodation along the way, aiming to reach Mancon by the next day, although he felt this might be overly optimistic due to the treacherous conditions ahead. This is also the norm for certain sections of National Highway 318. As the rainy season arrives, landslides and mud flows become unavoidable. The road is repaired year after year, yet it deteriorates just as consistently. A few individuals proceed along the highway when they suddenly notice an abundance of stray mastiffs by the roadside. Some of these dogs, upon seeing the cart, boldly approach, wagging their tails incessantly. Li Xiao and her companions feel a twinge of apprehension at the sight of these dogs, which are nearly as large as themselves. However, Snow, unfazed, takes several bags of bread from the cart, tears them open, and tosses them far away. Instantly, a pack of stray mastiffs rushes to the scene. Lin Chen suddenly finds amusement in this, for he recognizes that not far ahead is the place where Mo Yun once battled a horde of dogs. The ground shows signs of having been cleared, although remnants of blood still linger. He glances around and quickly spots the two dogs that Mo Yun had sent sprawling. The one that had lunged at Mo Yun is particularly massive, towering over a person, with a broad snout and a thick mane of black fur encircling its neck. Its eyes glinting with a hint of crimson, resembling a king among dogs. Lin Chen discreetly employs his beast-taming technique, beckoning to the two dogs. They promptly scamper over with eagerness. Lin Chen retrieves 2 pieces of raw meat from the cart, holding them directly to their mouths instead of tossing them away. The dogs immediately seize the meat, lowering their heads and emitting muffled sounds of delight. The surrounding mastiffs eye the meat with envy, yet none dare to approach. Lin Chen sighs softly, reaching out to stroke the 2 dirty heads of the dogs. In the past, while there were stray mastiffs in Sichuan and Zhuang districts, their numbers were nowhere near as high as they are now. The primary reason for this surge traces back to a decade or so ago, when speculators began to fixate on these formidable creatures, inflating their prices exorbitantly. A mastiff of exceptional pedigree could be sold for millions. This frenzy led to the establishment of numerous breeding facilities for mastiffs in Sichuan and Zhuang districts. Yet, after the excitement faded, it left a trail of devastation. The prices of mastiffs plummeted from lofty heights to depths unfathomable. Many breeding facilities shut down, and countless mastiffs were cast out, becoming strays. The dog king that had charged at Mo Yun, if it had existed during that frenzied era, would have fetched at least 1 million, yet now it merely reigns as the small leader among strays. Meanwhile, the livestream chat exploded with fervor. Wow, Lin Chun is incredibly bold, daring to touch such fierce strays. That dog's head is massive. I feel like it could bite my hand clean off. Lin Chun faced a pack of wolves without flinching. What is this compared to that? I visited Sichuan 2 years ago and saw similar packs. They're actually quite docile and understanding. It's a pity they aren't allowed in the city. Otherwise, I'd love to take one home. The 2 toothless dogs voraciously devour the raw meat, their eyes reflecting a human-like gratitude. Lin Chun continues to pet their heads before rising and stating, "You may go now." The dog king immediately growls twice at the surrounding pack, prompting all the mastiffs to disperse. As Lin Chun and his companions continue on their way, they barely take a few steps when the dog king suddenly returns, astonishing Lin Chun by carrying a small black puppy in its mouth. Lin Chun is speechless. He merely offered 2 pieces of meat. Surely, it does not intend to part with its offspring? Li Xiao and the others are equally taken aback, and upon seeing the adorable little dog, their faces light up with affection. The livestream chat erupts once more. Wow, this dog is something else. After eating Lin Chen's meat, it expects him to raise its pup? Mastiff. Lin Gu, don't you think it resembles you? Lin Chun, don't hesitate. It's clearly your offspring. with brows and eyes just like yours. Accept it quickly. In this day and age, even being a dog is tough, giving birth but unable to care for them. Who can argue? My ex-girlfriend sought me out after nearly 3 years apart, claiming a child was mine and trying to thrust it upon me, causing a scene at my workplace. I can relate. My ex pulled a similar stunt after 5 years with someone else, suddenly declaring I was still her greatest love and wanting to marry me, as if life were a joke. Lin Chen's expression is one of deep conflict. Caring for a mastiff is indeed a daunting task. He is currently on foot and can manage to keep the dog close. But even so, most hotels do not permit dogs. Not to mention, once they return to the city, such fierce breeds cannot even be registered. Is he to painfully part with it? Contemplating this, Lin Chen looks at Li Xiao and the others. Li Xiao, appearing quite fond of the little dog, suggests, "Why don't we take it with us for now? It's still small, and if we find a suitable family in Zhuang district, we can give it to them to raise. It's certainly better than letting it fend for itself." Yi Xiaoxi and Snow also express their agreement. Seeing this, Lin Chen gently takes the puppy from the dog king's mouth. The little creature is entirely black, robustly built, with bright, expressive eyes, timidly tucking its tail. Lin Chen hands it over to Li Xiao. Unfazed by its dirtiness, she cradles the puppy in her arms, playfully engaging with it, a maternal glow illuminating her face. The dog king casts one last glance at the puppy, brushes against Lin Chen's pant leg with its body, and then departs. The four continue on their journey. Along the way, Lin Chen takes the initiative to name the puppy Wang Kai, which is met with unanimous disapproval from Li Xiao and the others, as well as the viewers in the livestream. Meanwhile, in Deep City, at a certain hospital, He Tang, long forgotten by Lin Chen, lies on a hospital bed, enduring a torment akin to death itself. Chapter 378. Mr. He, have you recently offended someone? At that moment, He Tang's expression is one of agony and rage. His eyes bloodshot. He feels as though he is not relieving himself, but rather expelling shards of glass. Only someone who has undergone surgery for rectal prolapse could truly comprehend this level of suffering. Beside his bed, a secretary appears agitated. "Mr. He, it's out. Hang in there." He Tang's face turns a deep shade of crimson as he lets out a tremendous roar. A stream of yellow liquid surges forth, all caught by the secretary in a basin. He Tang, drenched in sweat, gasps for air, his gaze vacant, his complexion alarmingly pale. This marks the 10th time today. Despite having undergone surgery to return his intestines to their rightful place, the root cause remains untreated. He has tried every medication available, yet the need to relieve himself persists. The esteemed head of Jiesun is being reduced to a shadow of his former self, tormented by diarrhea to the brink of death, a tale few would believe. Suddenly, the secretary's expression shifts, and he instructs another assistant, "Quickly summon the doctor. The stitches have come undone." The doctor arrives swiftly, and upon seeing the blood-stained bed, his complexion changes drastically. "We need to perform surgery again to restitch." He Tang rasps, "Can you actually treat this? If not, I'll transfer to another hospital." The doctor offers a wry smile. "Mr. He, as you can see, we have several top specialists from major hospitals consulting on your case. We've exhausted all conventional treatments for diarrhea. Even if you transfer to a hospital in the capital, the approach will remain the same." He Tang's eyelid twitches as he demands, "What is the cause? Have you identified it?" The doctor clears his throat. "It's certainly an inflammation caused by some bacteria, but we're still investigating the specific strain. It will take some more time. Rest assured, Mr. He, we will do our utmost." In his heart, the doctor thinks that He Tang's case presents significant research value. It could be a previously unrecorded special condition. If thoroughly understood, it might yield several SCI papers. He Tang closes his eyes deeply. The secretary, noticing this, promptly requests the doctor to leave. Upon returning, he hesitates and says, "Mr. He, although it may not be appropriate to say, but forgive my bluntness, could this be related to Lin Chen?" Upon hearing the last two words, He Tang's eyes snap open. The secretary lowered her voice and said, "As you know, there are rumors online that Lin Chen is a harbinger of misfortune. Anyone who opposes him either encounters one calamity or another. From what I gather, 7 or 8 streamers from Fengyin have suffered misfortune after offending Lin Chen, facing various accidents daily. Ultimately, they had no choice but to rush to Sichuan to apologize to him in person, and after that, their troubles ceased. Some things are better believed to be true than false. Perhaps we should consider engaging in some action." As she spoke, the secretary cautiously observed He Tang's expression. He Tang's face darkened, his breath quickening. Initially, Lin Chen had exposed the Qingfeng Hall in Fan Mau Mao's streaming room as an official bot for Jishuan, smirking as he suggested they spend some money. He had silently vowed never to spend a single penny in Lin Chen's streaming room again, lest he be forced to drink water upside down. Now that he was faced with such a predicament, was he truly going to resort to that? Reflecting on his past grievances with Lin Chen, He Tang's anger surged, dispelling the thought entirely. He would rather meet his demise than submit to Lin Chen. He cursed. Spend money on him? If someone is ill, treat the illness. There is no need for all this nonsense. If domestic doctors are inadequate, let us bring in foreign ones. I refuse to believe that a mere stomach ailment cannot be treated. The secretary quickly responded, then hesitated. Mr. He, there aren't many effective treatments available right now. I know someone. Shall we let him try? He might work wonders. He Tang's eyes brightened as he inquired. Who is he? A folk doctor? The secretary, feeling somewhat guilty, replied, he is a master of Qigong. He Tang. Immediately, he grabbed a pillow, preparing to throw it at the secretary. The secretary hurriedly interjected, Mr. He, please hear me out. This person truly possesses remarkable skills. I witnessed him pluck a leaf, place it in his palm, and with a wave of his hand, the leaf shattered into countless pieces. He Tang paused, skepticism evident. Could it be a trick? Moreover, knowing Qigong doesn't necessarily mean one can heal. The secretary explained. He is actually a distant relative of mine, a traditional doctor. Only our family knows about his abilities. Whenever someone in the family has a headache or cold, he can cure them through Qigong, claiming it clears the meridians. I don't fully understand it. Seeing He Tang's hesitation, she quickly added, I've already called him in advance, and he is willing to help. He is downstairs at the hospital. The fee is a bit steep, if he cures you. It's 100,000. If not, there is no charge. Upon hearing this, He Tang nodded. Since you've arranged it, let him give it a try. If he truly cures me, I'll pay him 200,000. The secretary's face lit up with joy as she quickly made the call, and then left the room. Soon after, she returned with a man in his 50s, who appeared somewhat nervous and reserved. He bowed and greeted, Mr. He. He Tang nodded calmly, furrowing his brow. My stomach is starting to hurt again. Do what you must. The man stepped forward, took He Tang's pulse, then placed his hands on He Tang's abdomen. Moments later, He Tang's eyes widened in shock. He felt a surge of warmth coursing through him. The dull ache in his stomach had significantly lessened. Was this Qigong? He couldn't help but think of Lin Chen. That young man could crush metal business cards into a ball. Could he also practice Qigong? He Tang felt as though his worldview was being upended. The man then smiled. Mr. He, you have an external malevolence invading you. As long as I help you clear your meridians and expel this evil, it will fully activate your immune system. With a couple of herbal remedies and plenty of water, you'll be fine. He Tang marveled at the profundity of traditional medicine and was about to express his gratitude when suddenly, the man's complexion turned pale, and he trembled violently. The secretary's expression shifted, and she quickly asked, Cousin, what's wrong? The man abruptly withdrew his hand and sat cross-legged on the floor. In front of He Tang and the secretary's astonished gazes, he spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood, his face as white as a sheet, appearing incredibly weak. After a few moments, he stood up and, looking at He Tang with palpable fear, said, Mr. He, this external malevolence is no ordinary affliction. It seems like a powerful force has invaded your body. To put it simply, it resembles the ancient art of hexing. Forgive my candor, but have you recently offended someone? This illness is beyond my capabilities. You should seek someone more skilled. With that, without waiting for He Tang or the secretary to respond, he hurriedly fled the room. He Tang's complexion darkened. His mind immediately went to Lin Chen. Could it be that his previous gas poisoning incident and now this stomach ailment were indeed orchestrated by Lin Chen? Lin Chen, capable of hexing and ruining fortunes? Yet, this seemed too far-fetched. Even if Lin Chen understood such arts, how could he possibly influence someone so far away in Shenzhen? As He Tang felt his stomach churn once more, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He gritted his teeth, suppressing the pain, and instructed the secretary. Transfer 20,000 to your cousin. He then pulled out his phone. After a moment of hesitation, he finally dialed a number. A few seconds later, the call connected. He Tang spoke in a low voice. Uncle Li, it's He Tang. Do you know any skilled practitioners in Xiangjiang? I'd like to invite one to Shenzhen. In Sichuan. While hiking, Lin Chen heard Xiao Zhi's voice in his ear. Dad, He Tang just called Li Feiyun, asking him to find a master from Xiangjiang to help him exorcise evil. Lin Chen paused, realizing that He Tang had some awareness of his predicament. Xiangjiang was notorious for its superstitions, where many fortune tellers and geomancers thrived. Especially in the entertainment industry, tales of people hiring others to harm rivals were not uncommon. Yet, Lin Chen remained skeptical. In an age where true practitioners were rare, how many could genuinely possess such abilities? Even if someone had a bit of skill, breaking an extremely powerful hex would be nearly impossible. Reflecting on this, Lin Chen sighed. He Tang was still too proud. Why not simply spend a few billion in his streaming room to resolve all his troubles? However, he almost forgot about Li Feiyun. This man, a fellow citizen, had made a fortune in Xinjiang's real estate market while siphoning off vast amounts of wealth to the United Kingdom, all while evading the law. Wasn't he that infuriating? He silently recited a hex for 6 minutes, allowing Li Feiyun to test the so-called master's skill first. After walking for over 2 hours, the group arrived at a river with turbulent waters. A large bridge spanned the banks. Lin Chen addressed the audience in his streaming room. Here we are at Jinsha River, which marks a boundary between Sichuan and the Zhuang region. Look at this sign. It reads Sichuan boundary. If we go further, there's another sign that will read Zhuang boundary. As he spoke, he beckoned Li Xiao and the others, holding the puppy they had named Laifu, to take a photo in front of the Sichuan boundary sign. Before long, they reached the Zhuang boundary sign and took another picture. Crossing the bridge officially brought them into the Zhuang region. As they traveled along the national highway, the road conditions suddenly deteriorated. The pavement gave way to dirt and gravel roads, uneven and filled with various vehicles, including massive construction trucks that swayed precariously, kicking up clouds of dust. Seeing this, Yi Xiaoxi pulled out several thick masks from her backpack and distributed them to everyone, donning sunglasses herself to make the journey more bearable. Even then, they had to stay close to the edge to avoid being brushed by the swaying construction vehicles. The road conditions are truly abysmal. Who claim that the 318 route is passable by any vehicle? In reality, it's not too bad. It's just congested. As long as one is an experienced driver with a few years under their belt, navigating around the potholes should pose no issue. For those lacking driving skills, a superior vehicle is essential. Under such road conditions, a robust off-road vehicle is a necessity, albeit it consumes fuel voraciously and is prone to breakdowns. Thus, for long journeys, I prefer hiring a vehicle. It alleviates all concerns, with someone to open the door for you, and even if you feel nauseous, there is someone ready with a bag, asking if you need to rest before continuing. Initially, I intended to traverse the 318 during the National Day holiday, but given these road conditions, I think I'll opt for a rental. I wouldn't mind if the chassis gets damaged. If the road continues like this, by the time we complete the 318 journey, Lin Chen and his companions might end up with dusty lungs. The comments were rife with discussion. Lin Chen couldn't help but smile wryly as he glanced at Yi Xiaoxi and the others, who remained remarkably composed, unfazed by the dire environment. It reminded him of a saying he once encountered: to truly know if a person is suitable for a lifetime journey, embark on a long-distance trip together, preferably on a budget. It is during unforeseen circumstances that one's true character becomes evident. After such a trip, whether a relationship can endure a lifetime becomes clear. As for Shui, Li Xiao, and Yi Xiaoxi likely had never endured such hardships, yet they maintained their composure, which genuinely surprised Lin Chen. After walking for a while, his spare phone suddenly rang. To his astonishment, it was Zhang Qianji, someone he hadn't heard from in ages. Amidst the roar of construction vehicle engines, Lin Chen gestured for Xiao Ji to accompany Yi Xiaoxi and answered the call, saying, "Manager Zhang, what's the matter?" Zhang Qianji replied, "Lin, it's like this." Wendigu and Fan Mao Mao approached the super administrator for leniency, expressing their desire to continue broadcasting. They even provided written assurances that they will abide by the rules and refrain from causing any further disturbances. Of course, if you truly wish to see the last of them, you can let them stay. Lin Chen chuckled softly. To be honest, he had anticipated such a move from Wendigu and Fan Mao Mao. Only those who have experienced it understand how effortless it becomes to earn money once a social media influencer reaches a certain level of popularity. It's only after stepping away from the limelight that one realizes how challenging it is to make a living. Not to mention Wendigu and Fan Mao Mao, who voluntarily withdrew from the scene. Even those on permanent bans dream of resurrecting their careers. Clearly, both Wendigu and Fan Mao Mao were eager to return, while simultaneously wary of Lin Chen. Given his current influence, a mere mention in his livestream could lead to them being mercilessly criticized. Therefore, they opted to delicately gauge his stance through Zhang Qianji. From Zhang Qianji's perspective, he likely hoped for their return as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made the call. After all, they were top-tier streamers, and despite their previous setbacks, there was potential for a comeback. In fact, at that moment, after finishing his remarks, Zhang Qianji felt a slight sweat on his palms. Why refer to Lin Chen as Manager Lin? Because he genuinely is a manager now. With Lin Chen's substantial shares in the Quafu Group, his wealth far surpasses Zhang Qianji's, not to mention what the future holds. It's possible that at some point, the parent company, Yedong Group, would need to seek investments from Lin Chen. Thus, Zhang Qianji was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. If Lin Chen were to decline, Wendigo and Fan Mao Mao would forever vanish from Fengyin. After a brief pause, Lin Chun's voice came through the phone. All right. As long as they don't provoke me again. Zhang Qianji let out a sigh of relief and smiled. Then he recalled something and lowered his voice, saying, by the way, Meng Kai and Mi Dong have already entered. Lin Chun was taken aback, then remembered who Meng Kai was. Previously, during a covert scheme orchestrated by Pei Qian of Logic Group, his live stream had been blacked out. It was later discovered that besides Yamamoto Chioshu from Jishuan, Meng Kai from Yedong Group was also involved. Meng Kai had long coveted Zhang Qianji's position as president of Fengyin, so Lin Chun had provided the pertinent evidence to Zhang Qianji as a personal favor. It seemed Zhang Qianji had indeed taken decisive action. However, that was to be expected. The business world is akin to a battlefield. It's either you or me. After hanging up, Lin Chun rejoined Li Xiao and the others. Suddenly, Xiao Zhi's voice broke through. Daddy. Zheng Peina has arrived in Shuzhong City and is currently transferring to Yading Airport. Chapter 380. Lin Gu, you must maintain your composure. Lin Chun was astonished. Was it really that quick? He couldn't help but pull out his spare phone to check flights from Mita Country to Tang Country. To his surprise, the flight from Mita's capital to the Magic City only took about 1 hour and 40 minutes. This was genuinely beyond his expectations. This proximity was precisely why the colorful flag country held such affection for Mita Country. In the event of war, Mita would serve as a strategic stronghold for the colorful flag country, posing a significant disadvantage for Tang Country. If earlier it was mere speculation, Lin Chun was now entirely certain that this woman was indeed coming to see him. But why? Life is not a Mita drama. Zheng Peina's actions, while likely to stir her own emotions, would not resonate with anyone else. Lin Chun calculated the time. If Zheng Peina traveled overnight, she might very well arrive by tomorrow morning. After walking a bit longer, Lin Chun received a call from Zhong Wenzhou. He opened with, the new head of 5-star group, Zheng Peina, seems to be looking for you. Do you want us to intercept her? Lin Chun pondered for a moment and replied, in matters like this, it's not appropriate for you to intervene. Let her come and see what she intends. Zhong Wenzhou hesitated for a moment and earnestly advised, Lin Gu, the higher-ups have high hopes for you. You must maintain your composure. If it comes to it, seriously consider finding a girlfriend. I think the ones around you are quite good, Lin Chun responded. Then, adopting a serious tone, he said, Brother Zhong, you're overthinking it. Do you really think I'm the type to be swayed by mere beauty? Moreover, Zheng Peina is nothing special. She pales in comparison to Luo Xian. On the other end of the line, Zhong Wenzhou recalled how Lin Chun treated Luo Xian and immediately felt reassured. He then added with a smile, it's been confirmed that Luo Xian will join the Ongwa division. She even proposed it herself. She has taken the antidote and claims to have expelled most of the parasites from her body. If the antidote proves effective, she'll be able to administer it to the 3 children at the orphanage. Speaking of which, do you really intend to have her confront Tais? Lin Chun smiled faintly. Given Luo Xian's situation, as long as she wished to stay in Tang Country, joining the Ongwa division and serving the government was her only option. He remarked, Tais is quite arrogant. I intend for the world to know that he cannot even best a mere actress in the Tang entertainment industry. That should be quite entertaining. Zhong Wenzhou chuckled, then said, by the way, the mid to high level candidates for the Quafu group have been preliminarily determined. Someone will send the information to Yi Xiaoxi shortly. You can review it and request changes if needed. Lin Chun acknowledged with a got it and ended the call. After continuing on for a while, Yi Xiaoxi indeed approached him with a tablet in hand, saying, Manager Lin, here is the foundational information for the Quafu group. Please take a look. To her, this was merely a procedural step, allowing Lin Chun to familiarize himself with the faces. If there were any significant issues, it was beyond Lin Chun's knowledge. The viewers in the live stream couldn't help but find amusement in the situation. Oh wow, Sister Shies addressing him as Manager Lin has a nice ring to it. Ha ha ha, Manager Lin is finally beginning to exercise his rightful authority. Now who isn't a boss these days? Every time I go for tea, those young ladies call me Mr. Do. Alas, ever since I got married, it has been ages since I felt the thrill of being addressed as the boss by others. Comparing oneself to others is truly a recipe for despair. If all goes as expected, the individuals on this list will soon amass billions. Lin Chun took the tablet and began to peruse the detailed information presented, which included photographs, personal resumes, and familial and social connections, all clearly laid out. As he read, he quietly instructed Xiao Zhi to verify the information of these individuals. After 2 minutes, Xiao Zhi reported, Dad, among the 86 people, 9 have issues, 3 of which are severe, making them unsuitable for their positions. Relevant documents have been compiled and sent to the backup phone. Lin Shen pulled out his phone and glanced through the evidence Xiao Zhi had provided. Goodness. Corruption, bribery, illicit relationships, factionalism, and dual nationality among their family members. What a shocking revelation. Lin Shen couldn't comprehend how such a plethora of dubious characters had been meticulously selected and presented to the Quafu group. Particularly concerning were the 3 individuals with severe issues. One of them, Guo Jinkao, was astonishingly positioned as one of the vice presidents of the Quafu group. If these individuals were to occupy significant roles within the Quafu group, avoiding decline would be nearly impossible. Lin Shen immediately marked the 9 individuals with a cross on the tablet and handed it back to Yi Xiaoxi, stating, "Please respond. These 9 must be replaced." Yi Xiaoxi appeared surprised but did not question further. She stepped aside to make a call. The live stream's chat exploded with excitement. What is happening? So many people are being dismissed? I just want to know how Lin Shen decided to dismiss these individuals. Don't ask, it's clearly because he disapproves. Likely due to someone reporting them. Lin Shen has his own network. The circle is not that big, and he has probably heard some rumors about these individuals. After a while, having traversed a particularly rough patch, Lin Shen observed that everyone appeared fatigued. He found a clear area and instructed everyone to take a break. Just as they settled, Yi Xiaoxi's phone rang. After a few seconds on the line, her expression darkened. Covering the receiver, she informed Lin Shen, "It's Guo Jinkao. He wants to know why he was dismissed." Upon hearing this, Lin Shen raised an eyebrow and took the phone from Yi Xiaoxi. He turned on the speakerphone for the live audience, declaring, "This is Lin Shen." Immediately, a middle-aged man's voice came through, laden with authority yet tinged with anger. "Mr. Lin, I am Guo Jinkao. I shouldn't be making this call, but I am eager to understand why I was dismissed when the candidates on the list underwent strict organizational scrutiny. What grounds do you have for my removal?" Lin Shen calmly replied, "I am more curious about what gives you the audacity to make this call. Are you not aware of the actions you have taken? Or should I enumerate your misdeeds before the billion viewers in this live stream?" The other end fell silent. After a few seconds, Guo Jinkao spoke again, maintaining a steady tone. "I, Guo Jinkao, am upright and have nothing to fear. If you have any evidence of my wrongdoing, feel free to report me to the disciplinary committee." Lin Shen reflected on this declaration, thinking to himself, indeed, it is no surprise that someone in a high position possesses such composure. However, such individuals are often seen on television, living carefree until apprehended, only to weep later. Without further ado, he stated, "Since you insist, let us put you to rest. I will report you to the disciplinary committee, but first, let the audience see who you truly are." He produced his backup phone. Meanwhile, in a distant office, the corpulent and balding Guo Jinkao, holding his phone, turned pale at Lin Shen's words. His knees buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. Chapter 381, Shocked. Lin Shen is at it again. "Lin Shen, you owe me my husband." Guo Jinkao was genuinely alarmed. Knowing he had to work under Lin Shen, he made it a point to familiarize himself with Lin Shen's preferences and style. Therefore, since learning of his impending assignment to the Quafu group, Guo Jinkao had dedicated every available moment to binge-watching Lin Shen's live streams. He concluded that Lin Shen had a penchant for women, was resolute in his dealings, and was unyielding in his revelations during live broadcasts. Each exposure invariably led to someone being implicated. Truth be told, he regretted his impulsive decision to make that call out of anger. He had been obstinate during the call, claiming he had nothing to fear from the disciplinary committee's investigation. It wasn't that he genuinely believed that. It was merely a realization that Lin Shen had the audacity to speak to him live. With so many eyes watching, he had to maintain a stance. Otherwise, it would be evident to all that he had something to hide. As he knelt there, Guo Jinkao felt a mix of despair and a fleeting hope. Surely, if his transgressions were so easily discoverable, he would have been targeted by the disciplinary committee long ago. Simultaneously, the chat in Lin Shen's live stream erupted. "Wow, Lin Shen is at it again. Goodness. I thought Lin Shen would take a break today without sending anyone to jail. I didn't expect this. Not just one. Didn't Lin Shen mention there were 9? Those 9 will surely face the consequences. Lin Shen is incredible. He is relentless in his pursuit of results, even turning against his own. Guo Jinkao is quite the clever one. He should have just stepped back quietly instead of walking into Lin Shen's line of fire. Now look at him. Some people are just stubborn, like my girlfriend. She's never honest. When I ask her how I did, she says okay. What does that even mean?" At this moment, Lin Shen had opened a video, showcasing it to the live stream camera. It was footage from a hotel corridor, showing a man nearing 50, embracing a young woman and cheerfully using a key card to enter a room. The man was none other than Guo Jinkao. The scene then shifted to the two exiting the room, with the monitoring timestamp indicating they had been inside for a mere 20 minutes. Lin Chen remarked, Guojin Cao. I presume this woman is not your wife. The second video appeared, again showing the hotel corridor, once more featuring Guojin Cao, but this time with a different woman. Lin Chen continued, and this one, I assume, is not your wife either? The third video revealed footage from a hidden camera inside a hotel room. While the man's head was clear, the rest of the screen was obscured. Lin Chen put away the backup phone, stating, this is merely a small portion. There is much more, such as how your wife's old, worthless house sold for an astonishing 1 million. How you exchanged a cheap imitation antique bought from a street vendor for a genuine one. How you procured an $80,000 luxury car for less than $100,000 through a used car dealership. And how your sister-in-law, an unremarkable streamer with a dreadful singing voice, managed to rake in millions from wealthy patrons. I have all the evidence. You'll have to come up with a good explanation for the disciplinary committee. On the other end of the call, as Lin Chen spoke, Guo Jiangwo's complexion paled with every word, until he was left ashen and filled with despair. Suddenly jolted awake, he sprang to his feet, intent on racing home. Just then, his phone rang. Upon seeing the caller ID, Guo Jiangwo's pupils constricted. After a brief hesitation, he chose to answer. A stern voice resonated from the other end. Is this Guo Jiangwo? This is the Discipline Inspection Commission. You are to remain in your office from this moment on, refrain from any contact with others, and await our personnel. Guo Jiangwo's expression shifted dramatically, ultimately settling into a ghastly pallor as he sighed. I will comply. He then slumped into his office chair, fully aware that his fate was sealed, and he was not the only one destined for downfall. Those who had enabled his ascent would similarly face consequences. He had managed to secure his position through meticulous maneuvering, but now, with his impending fall, others would inevitably follow suit. Meanwhile, Lin Chen wasted no time and dispatched the compiled evidence to the reporting email. Mere seconds later, a message from Zhong Wenzhou arrived. An old colleague at the Discipline Inspection Commission asked me to inquire if you would be interested in a position there. Given your frequent reports, it would be a shame to pass up their salary, especially with year-end bonuses. Lin Chen, unimpressed, replied succinctly that he had no interest. The live stream's comments section erupted. How infuriating. I'm nearly 30, and I still face disdain during blind dates. Guo Jiangwo, with his stature, still manages to be unappealing. Such is the world we live in. Wealth and power dictate everything. Guo is truly remarkable. Today was an eye-opener. Who knew bribery had so many forms? I never imagined a relative would become a streamer to facilitate bribery. Doesn't he fear she might run off with the top donor? Forget the top donor. A friend of mine posted a photo of his wife with his car, and she was whisked away by another car owner. How terrifying. I too have a stable job, and my wife has recently taken up streaming. She was always tepid in her efforts, but suddenly she's attracting a lot of attention. Could someone be trying to bribe me? Given Guo Jiangwo's position, Lin Chen's actions may uncover a larger conspiracy. Who knows how many will be implicated? Lin Chen, observing the barrage of comments, addressed the viewers. I see some comments suggesting that Guo Jiangwo's situation is normal in today's context. I must assert that such a mindset is quite the opposite of normal. We must trust in the higher authorities' resolve to rectify the chaos. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. We cannot allow the darkness we witness to lead us to believe that light no longer exists. Take the 86 mid to senior management members of the Quafu Group. The vast majority remain honest and principled. Individuals like Guo Jiangwo are but a minority. I wish to add that anyone aspiring to join the Quafu Group to realize their potential must possess integrity. Technical prowess alone will not suffice if character is lacking. This proclamation sparked lively discussions in the comments, with the majority expressing agreement. Many individuals harboring admiration for the Quafu Group eagerly awaited the recruitment announcement to submit their applications. With Lin Chen acting as a vigilant watchman, the managerial integrity of the organization was assured, allowing employees to focus on their duties without undue distractions. After more than an hour had passed, as 6 o'clock approached, Lin Chen and Li Xiao deliberated and decided to seek accommodation at the nearest inn or hotel. As they continued onward, they spotted an inn in the distance, but before they could reach it, a dusty sedan sped towards them from behind. Just as it was within 3 meters, it suddenly accelerated and veered toward Lin Chen. He quickly turned, his gaze sharp, only to find a woman with a face twisted in bitterness behind the wheel. As she pressed the accelerator, she shrieked, Lin Chen, return my husband. Chapter 382. Sister. Who are you? The hospitable innkeeper. Lin Chen observed the oncoming vehicle, his first thought racing through his mind. Again? Previously, it had been Lu Qing, whose futile pursuit for revenge had led to her losing custody of her child to Wan Hanwen in a dramatic chase. Now who was this woman? Her demands seemed absurd. as if he had some peculiar penchant for such scenarios. Truth be told, had the live stream not been active, he might have considered kicking the car away with a single strike. In an instant, Lin Chen spread his arms wide, seizing both Li Xiao and Yi Xiaoxi as if they were mere chicks, and leapt aside just in time to evade the collision. In the process, he delivered a powerful kick to the front wheel, shattering the axle. The vehicle skidded, crashing violently into Shui Air's pushcart, sending it flying several meters away, nearly dismantled. Its contents scattered across the ground. The sedan's front crumpled and emitted plumes of black smoke. The airbag deployed, sending the